And we are live, Mr. Gracie Show 133. What up?
What's up?
Were you able to click live?
It wouldn't let me do it on the screen, so I don't know if I'm live on Instagram or not.
Gotcha. Yeah,
let me look. Let me look. I don't know.
It waited for me to like actually get to the screen to click it. It took a little bit longer. But what a great show we got for the audience today. Mr. Chad Taylor coming on, which will be a fun show. Lots to talk about there.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Chad Taylor.
Yeah, man. State of the Union last night. Lots of cool stuff going on.
That was interesting, yes. I think the highlight for me was President Trump asking everyone to stand up that thought that the representatives should represent American citizens and not illegals. And no Democrats stood up.
No.
I mean, okay, I know you hate Trump, you have TDS, whatever, you don't like what he's saying, but you can't stand for that statement that you're supposed to be representing American citizens. You can't stand for the 100-year-old Medal of Honor recipient that served in wars that, like wars going, like it just baffles me. You can't stand for Irina Zaruch's mother, the woman that was murdered on the fucking bus or train or whatever it was in North Carolina. You can't stand for like what? What are you resisting at that point? That you're
the
a fucking
Medal of
human
Honor
being?
one. What is the Medal of Honor one though? Because what did he represent that they wouldn't stand for? Like the other ones, like illegals were involved.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah,
there was nothing. Wow,
they can't even stand for American citizens, saying that they represent American citizens. They can't stand for that, and they can't stand for a Medal of Honor winner. It's like, what?
Yeah, man. They're so out of touch. But there's no repercussions is the problem, dude. Like their constituents should, and the people who voted for them should be like, what the fuck? Writing in like, why are you not standing up for clear American values? Like, okay.
You would hope that their constituents would do that, but they probably won't because, as I've said before, they all live in a fucking psyop. They've been taught to hate Trump so much that no matter what their people do against him, they're doing the good thing. No matter what their representative does to resist Trump, those people are doing the good thing because Trump is evil and bad. Everything he does is bad. They live in a psyop, dude. It's fucking wild. Speaking of psyops, so I want to talk about this. One of my favorite band of all time is U2.
Oh,
right. Love that band. Grew up with them. I haven't bought maybe the last few records, but I love their music. Been a big fan forever. And I've stood for most of their social, things that they like to stand up for, like world hunger and human rights and feeding the poor. Great, I'm all for that.
Right. You stood up for love too.
Stood up for love. They've done something that I just am like baffled by. They have a new EP coming out, or it's out, or coming out soon, whatever. And they've written a song called American Obituary, apparently, about Renee Good. Now, it's a tragedy that she died, but you're writing a song called American Obituary about a woman who decided to go and interject herself into law enforcement and then hits, and I don't care about protocol and training and all the stuff that was brought up on the show before. She hit the guy and she got shot and killed. She put herself in that ridiculous situation because she hates Trump, period. That's it. And now like I said, it's tragedy she's dead, but it was her fault that she was there.
Yeah.
Bono, why don't you write a song about Laken Riley or any of these women that have been killed by illegal aliens that are just innocent, literally innocent people that are just walking down the street are fucking raped and killed by these illegals. Why don't you write a song about them, Bono? That's the real American obituary here, not fucking Renee Good.
Right.
Okay? Sorry, Bono. Love you. Been with you my my whole musical life I've loved you too, but you've crossed a line. Like your liberalism has blinded you to the fucking truth, and you want
Yeah.
to start playing politics in America. Then fucking learn about this shit. Because
Right.
writing a song about Renee Good just based on the fact that you heard that she was killed by an ICE agent, learn the fucking
Hmm.
facts and go out and learn about all the women that have been killed and raped and murdered by fucking illegal aliens that aren't supposed to be in this country.
Yeah. Like, it's
Period.
irresponsible. I mean, if you're literally trying to write a song and incite people to be upset about that, like, it's irresponsible. I mean, she hit a fucking federal agent with her vehicle. I mean, what do you expect? And I finally saw the agent's, because he had his
Body
phone.
cam.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, or I thought it was maybe from his phone, but maybe it was from his body cam. Like, you see her, like, him get hit. I don't even know
Yeah.
how he had it in him to get the shots off. Like, hats off to him. Who knows what
Yeah,
she would have done after
absolutely.
that, to be honest. So,
Right.
yeah, man.
But
Bono should fucking wake
it's
up.
just my point, dude. It's like that's the person you choose to write a song about.
Right.
You're fighting law enforcement, removing illegal criminals from your neighborhoods. That's the person that you're gonna take up arms for. The person that is literally fighting law enforcement, who is removing illegals, rapists, murderers, criminals from the streets of your town. And
Right.
then you interject yourself into that law enforcement action and then hit an officer and you get killed. It's a tragedy, but that's who you write a song about, not about Laken Riley, not about any of these women that have been just innocent women that have been killed and raped by
Be
illegals. That
eh,
guess they don't
and
matter, huh?
well, and it's probably not even his feelings on it. It's probably just he knows, like, that would sell more than a pro ICE fucking, thing. Like, it'll hop into people's zeitgeist better being pro Renee Good, because that's what's going on right now.
That's what's wrong with the fuck. That's what's wrong.
Yes.
That is literally what's wrong with liberalism and liberals in this fucking whole world at this point.
Yes.
Like
People need to have a
they
backbone and stand up
yeah.
for what is right. Sorry.
I think
Yeah.
if Bono would have written a song about Laken Riley, that would have been fucking huge. I think, you know.
Or Bonnie Blue. Hello. She had sex with 400 dudes.
Well, no, 1,000. Did she hit 1,000?
Yeah, but she just banged 400 guys without condoms to get pregnant, and to not know which one did it. And these 400 guys did it, and she's now pregnant. Can you fucking believe that, dude? So, I mean, I want to really look into that story, because, like, is the guy now, like, liable for child support? If
Right.
he actually wants access to the kid, can he? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, there's all kind. Is she gonna abort it just to fucking abort it? Who knows?
Oh my god, could you imagine what the fuck story that would be? I think she would get murdered, bro, if she did that.
By who?
Yeah, that's true.
She wouldn't get murdered. They would praise her for it. The feminists would be like, "Yes, go girl." Fucking piece. I mean, it's ridiculous, dude. The moral decay is so sad.
That would be crazy though. Like, you get pregnant just to have an abortion. I think, like, people would be like, "What the fuck?" You know what I'm saying? Because, like, if it's an accident, but if you're doing it on purpose.
I saw this trans activist. I mean, obviously he can't do it because it's a he, but he was talking about, I'm going to get a womb implanted in me, and I'm going to get pregnant so that I can abort the baby. It's like, what fucking twisted mind thinks like that? Like, what
Wait,
is
this was
wrong
a guy?
with you? Yeah, trans
Wow.
woman, whatever, trans person.
That's another thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just, why do you think of something so twisted like that and then come out and say it publicly? Like, what is the fucking point?
Right. Well, this is, again, something I got to do more research on, but a lot of these mass shootings are done by trans people.
Oh yeah, that was going around for a little bit. There's more people have been killed by trans shooters than ICE agents by far.
Correct. And like I said, I'm all for people's having whatever sexuality they want, explore whatever. But I've said this a lot of times. I think 9.9 out of 10 transgender people are mentally ill and would be better off seeking psychological help rather than exploring, these feelings of the opposite sex. Like I said, if you are born a male and you feel like you're a female, there's a disconnect between your mind and body. It's a mental illness.
But then you're on hormones too. They're just destroying your emotions, messing them all up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a crazy thing, and like I said, I think even the valid people, like, that are really trans and not, like, just getting into it because it's, like, fucking in the zeitgeist or they're too young to even understand what's going on. Even the people that are I think it's a mental illness, because you are physically a male and you feel like a female or vice versa. You're physically a female, feel like a male. Your brain isn't doing what your body is, supposed to be feeling like. So there's something wrong there rather than, hey, go ahead, transition. How about try to fix the problem or something?
Well, medicine doesn't fix problems, it masks symptoms.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like throwing on a pair of stilettos and putting on some lipstick, but no, I don't think
Hey.
I'm trans. But you know what I'm saying? We are bringing on Mr. Chad Taylor soon, and he will be doing our so we're getting probably Chad Taylor and Chad Gracie back in the studio because I think we're gonna have them do our intro song. But for now, our intro song is this, Ladies and Germs. There we go. Okay.
Two voices in the air, they vibe, they glow. They got the kind of spark you wanna know. Dropping thoughts like stars, watch them flow.
Hey.
The gracious few, oh yeah, it's true. Laughs and wisdom, all for you. The gracious two, they're breaking through. Turn it up, it's what you do.
Hey.
They talk the talk, it's sharp, it's real. Conversations that you wanna feel. Every word's alright, they've got that deal. The grace is true, oh yeah, it's true. Laughs and wisdom, all for you. The grace is true, they're breaking through. Turn it up, it's what you do.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if you know, Mr. Gracie, because you're over there on the West Coast, but we got fucking major snow on the East Coast, my man.
I was watching. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
That's crazy, man.
We
How
were
much did you
just
get at your house?
a little over 2 feet. Like we were just the day before it had just rained enough to get like rid of the past snow from a week or two ago, and then fucking got bombarded.
Yeah, turn that song off, man. We're done with that.
Yeah.
We're trying to
Come
talk.
on now. Trying to talk here. It's distracting.
They got a little bit in York, but I was paying attention to because my mom was going to go down to Ocean City, New Jersey. They're supposed to go down Monday, but they ended up going down Tuesday, and the streets were cleared.
Yeah. But yeah, if she would have traveled on Monday, no.
I was like, no, you're not going. What are you doing?
Yeah, my sister was like, oh, on Sunday, why don't you come over? I'm like, because we're about to get fucking 3 feet of snow. I'm not going to be snowed in at your house.
It's got a lot of wind too, right? It's a blizzard.
Yeah, it was blizzard. So you got drifts in area that were even higher.
Nice. It's been kind of a winter on the East Coast.
Yeah, we kind of needed one though. It's been yeah. I mean, the shoveling sucks, but I like looking at the snow. And
I love when it snows. I fucking love when it snows. I love driving in the snow when it's snowing.
Yeah, it's fun. Same. Mm-hmm. It's funny watching people from Texas try to drive in the snow because they never get it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But enough BSing here. Let's get to the reason why we're here, Mr. Gracie. The one and only Chad, the man, Taylor. What up, brother?
Hey, y'all. How's it going? Can you hear my microphone?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. I went and grabbed that while you guys were chit-chatting.
Look at you. Stepping the game up.
I'm trying to, I happen to have microphones at the house, and I thought, well, I ought to look like a pro.
Yes.
Pro'd up.
It's great to be back on the show, by the way. I mean, what's sort of interesting is I've really become a fan of the show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I do frequently watch, not always in real time, but for everybody watching, one of the funnier things is sometimes I'll text Chad Gracie and then I'll realize, oh, it's Tuesday at 1. I'm like, dude, he's doing his show.
Oh, everybody seems to hit me. Bill hits me that time. Mom, you, various people are like, oh, I'm like, the rest of the day I'm just sitting around like, no one's texting me, but when I'm on the show, everyone's texting me.
Do you remember Patrick answering his mom's call mid-show? That was we did that once. That was in Canada.
Oh yeah,
we were playing in that huge like geosphere. I don't know. It looked like planet Earth or something. We were playing an acoustic thing in the side of it.
Oh,
and he had his cell phone in his back pocket, and it started ringing. And I think he literally stopped the song. It was like, hold on, and he put it up to the mic. He's like, "Hi, Mom." And, the audience, of course, like totally
loved it.
Loved that.
Yeah.
I know one person that didn't love that.
Oh, really?
The center of attention? No. He got jealous for a second.
Can you guys hear my bell in the background?
I like that. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Checking dinner.
That's every time I have a bad thought about the bald-headed guy.
Got it.
And then an angel gets their wings. I love it.
Feel like the guy on Breaking Bad. Ding, 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 ding.
I just got to have like a little bell thing. I love that guy, by the way. That's one of the greatest character roles in any television
TV show. Oh, yeah,
the guy in the wheelchair.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how does he not win an award for acting? I mean, that was insane.
Oh, exactly. Yes.
And what's interesting is that he could play both feeble and vicious at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
That's quite a combo.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's what she said. Speaking of Patrick, though, Chad Taylor, you were on stage with him like about a week or two ago at a Chris Shin show.
Yeah, it was awesome. So little background on how that went down. I had reached out to Chris Shin working, sort of like my 12-step deal. And, he was definitely a big part of, a person that I knew, I loved and missed and wanted to reconnect with. I just knew that it was going to take some time. I think both Chris and I had to laugh that it took about 10 years to reconnect, which is kind of crazy how fast time moves. That wasn't intentional by either party.
Yeah. CT, so anyway, real quick, can you pull that microphone closer to you? Because I think it cuts out. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you hear it?
Perfect. That's way better.
Yeah.
If it's not cut, okay, good. I turned up the gain a little bit too.
Yeah, it was like whatever ducking. So when you got a little bit far, it cut out. But if you were on it, it's good.
Well, so anyway, we reconnected. It wasn't really intentional to go that long, but it is in fact what happened, and that felt really great. Totally healing. Kind of hung up the phone and like moved on with my life, my day. I knew that Patrick was rehearsing with Shin. That's what they call the band. And I was really excited for Patrick. And I knew that Christopher Thorne was playing guitar. And then Chris Shin called me and said, I got a kind of crazy thought. Would you want to come and jump on stage with us? And I mean, it took me like a blip. I don't even know if I waited a beat before I said, hell yeah. And then the reality of getting to the gig sunk in. And so one of the things happening behind the scenes is my mom got really sick. And the doctor was trying to decide whether to admit her into the hospital or not. And the doctor gave me one of those like, well, we're going to decide by 3 p.m. And I should have left at like 8 a.m. that morning to get all the way to Charlotte. And so I stuck around the house because if mom was going in the hospital, right, I wanted to be at home, not on stage.
Sure.
And so then the doctor said, but we think she can make it through the night, stay at home, go ahead and go. So I got in my car and I drove until, I was like silly tired, pulled over, got a hotel room, slept in, and then finished like 3 hours of the 9-hour drive to make it to Charlotte. I live in Lancaster. It's 8.5, 9 hours to make it to Charlotte.
How long before the gig, Chad, did you get the call from Shin to do this?
Like 2 days before the gig.
Okay.
So this is all like last minute, just like throw and go, have some fun. And then I made it to Charlotte, said hi to everyone. I mean, one of the great surprises was Sean Hennessy from The Gracious Few was playing keys and backing vocals and helped doing some tech work. So I got to actually meet his wife and his son for the first time.
Oh, cool.
I got to meet, uh, uh, and rejoin with like lots of people, but including Christopher Thorne's son, Devlin. And Devlin was teching also, like doing some guitar teching stuff. So anyway, we all powwowed over to the gig. We played at a little venue called Snug Harbor. Holds, my guess would be 125 people, maybe something like that. Perfect rock club. The PA system sounded great, and Scott, the engineer, did a fantastic job. I can tell you that because I watched the whole show from the front of house. And then I jumped up
with the Hawkeye.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And but I jumped up on stage then for the encore and did Lakini's Juice and I Alone. And let me just say this: the Shin band was amazing. I will say this: it's easily in the top 5 shows of my entire life, and by far the best show I've seen within the last 2 years. It was magical. Wow. But if you think about it, it's like, there's a lot of multi-platinum players up there. You got Christopher Thorne from Blind Melon, you got Patrick from Live, right? And all these members, of course, have been in Live, and they just anchored together. And I'll just say this, that they played Galaxy by Unified Theory, which is not Galaxy. Dang, I messed up. They played California by Unified Theory.
Oh yeah,
and there's like a whole middle breakdown in that thing that's like very rhythmical. And let me just say this: I've never heard it like that, like with Patrick on bass and everything. Like the song lit up. And Shin himself reminded me of when Unified Theory was the opening act for Live and the Counting Crows, and where I basically fell in love with Shin's voice. Same with Gracie, same with Dahlheimer. Actually, the same with Ed, to be honest with you. So we all loved him and loved his voice. And his, some singers as they age just, kind of age out of their voice. It's like he's aging into himself, into his voice. So that was really, really, really invigorating and inspiring and refreshing. Then I jump off the stage. I went to change my clothes because I got hot and sweaty, even in those 2 songs. And I was standing at the back of my car, like the old days of, being in a band with a van and a trailer. And I was changing, and I thought, there's something wrong at home. I need to just go. So I sent a text rather than a long goodbye and said, that was awesome. And I got on the road and I drove until I was dizzy at about 6 a.m. and pulled into a rest stop, crawled in the back of my car, slept for maybe 2 hours, woke up at 8 a.m. and then finished the drive. And sure enough, my mom had asked everyone to not tell me, but she had been admitted to the hospital. So my mom-son connection was there. And I made it all the way home, only to get there, and the hospital was what was called on like code black or something. They were basically not admitting outsiders because there was so much flu and pneumonia going around. And just to say it quickly, Mom is back out of the hospital. She's feeling good. In fact, I told her to tune in. And John, she did say, please tell him not to curse so much.
I will try. My bad. Mama, tell her I apologize.
Me too, right now.
So, CT, you have that much intuition where you trust in, I guess, your feelings that you were like I got to take off. Something feels off, and then sure enough, it was your mom.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've always had? Because that like just for you to like get that feeling and then just the wherewithal to actually leave an event, because so many people could get that feeling and just ignore it, but you actually followed through. And it turned out to be true, your feeling.
Yeah. So, well, as you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, that's probably because I was sober. Had I been drinking there, I'm sure I probably would have wanted to stay at the bar and stay and be social with everyone. But, that is one of the things that's happened in sobriety is, some of my senses are turning back on. I'm not dulling out so much. Not that everything comes back to alcoholism, but I mean, in that particular case, hey, we were in a bar. it would have been easy to have some post-show cocktails. We were all feeling really great about the show,
Yeah.
great about reestablishing that friendship with with three members of Live, standing on the stage together.
Yeah.
One, Christian, Thorne, me, Patrick. Four. Sorry, my
4.
math is bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. So
Nice.
and those are the times where people do relapse, right? Like they get to these places where they're kind of celebrating life because it's so good, and that's a lot of times where they could take the fall and I could just have one, celebrate this moment, and then boom.
Yeah, I guess. Look, I just want to be clear. I'm one of those fortunate people that I don't have those cravings anymore, none whatsoever, and don't really think that I will fall victim to that. Of
Rock
course, there's
on.
probably someone with more experience out there saying, "Well, that guy's a fool," but I stay really diligent. And actually, I mean, to be honest, I read some article. I wish I could cite the article. It was written by a young woman, and she was talking about how she views alcohol as the actual sign that the person is a dinosaur, that like they're in kind of prehistoric times, that it's so unhealthy and so horrible
Oh
for your
yeah.
body that she's like, I don't. She's like, I don't really have anything against people that drink. It's just I look at you and think, oh, well, you're a dinosaur. And so, I mean, I don't know if I would have read that and it would have woken me up, but I mean, everybody knows that the trend is that drinking is just like going away. A lot of the companies are struggling. I don't want to see anybody lose their job or anything, but I did
Right.
keep y'all employed for a long time. Uh, so yeah. So anyway, I just think that yeah, I feel very rooted these days. I think it's also because I'm playing music. I mean, that's what I'm meant to do.
You're 100% right though. Alcohol is like literally a poison, like to the body. Like your body doesn't interact with it well at all. It like slowly kills you. I think like your liver and all that stuff. Your body's like it's not supposed to be in there.
Yeah, now that
Um,
I haven't had drinks for quite some time, I have gone to thinking about, well, did I do frontal lobe damage, any of that stuff. I definitely am somewhat concerned about that, but I'm trying to be very mindful of my diet these days.
Good.
Interesting enough, I'm using many of the methodologies that I learned from AA in my approach to food. And I'll just confess right now, I totally had a food relapse last night. I had a pizza and a cheesesteak, which for me is like way out of character these days. And I think, honest to God, it was because like just I had like a moment of relief. My mom came out of the hospital. Um, my sister-in-law was in a medically induced coma. We could talk about that later, but she came out of the coma, and I did the classic, like let my hair down. And I know this sounds strange, but in the midst of it, I went, "Oh my God, like I've technically relapsed." And it freaked me out. And I definitely don't ever want to have that feeling with alcohol, but I'm learning that those self-soothing things like food in particular, that's a trigger thing for me. You don't get this manly looking, body by, I don't know, only drinking, I don't know, fruit smoothies or whatever.
So you consider basically, even though it's not like a relapse with alcohol, you consider a relapse something that triggers that emotion in you of like I want this bad or something.
Yeah, so after I went up and over the challenge of alcohol and started, addressing my mental health issues, which are numerous and wide, I'm sure that I'll never get to the end of that. And I think most people can actually relate to that. But in a state of sobriety, I started, saying to myself, well, what else is going on? And I recognized that my eating habits, generally speaking, I actually eat very healthful at home because my wife is the primary provider of food and she's super healthy. And I eat that food. It was late night, like, well, what I had noticed was like a new craving for ice cream that like I'd never had. I mean, Chad would tell you in our childhood, I was never a huge sweets guy. And then
Right.
all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, like I'd find myself eating a bowl of ice cream and thinking, when the hell did I get this out of the freezer? Like it was happening. And what I realized is that I was using food now, in particular sugar, as like the new alcohol replacement. Let's be honest, we all know alcohol
Uh,
metastasizes, into sugar, and so I was feeding my brain with the same thing. So I'm determined now to cut that out. Probably my last and final vice will be coffee, and I haven't even tried to think about that challenge yet. I think that might be harder than alcohol and sugar, but
but
man,
why
hey,
coffee?
well, I don't know, just because I clearly self-medicate with it. I wake
I
up in the
was,
morning and like I
but
drink
give yourself
coffee.
some pleasures, dude. It seems like you're trying to like take all the joys out of your life. Like give yourself some crutch here.
I've already said
Caffeine.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, but let's get the elephant out of the room real quick because we're all talking about like live and all this stuff. We see recently there's a big cease and desist letter delivered to Mr. Ed Kowalczyk. Basically, what saying? What can we talk about here? Basically, asking him not to tour under a name he's not entitled to. I know you can't talk about much.
Yeah, so first of all, it's probably it's sort of funny. I wrote this down, and like I hate to be like contrived or anything, and like but without like trying to like think of it on the spot, I'd almost like read this.
Yeah.
And basically what I was saying is, while I can't discuss the specifics of the ongoing litigation, what I can share is some context. The current legal matter centers on intellectual property and corporate governance rights. In the United States, there's no trademark police or government body that steps in when disputes arise over ownership or usage. Instead, companies like ours are required to enforce and defend their rights through the civil court system. So otherwise, Chad and I can't get on the phone. Chad Patrick and I can't get on the phone and say, like you would report a crime, and then that person, would investigate the crime, and then that person could be charged, right?
Right.
The way it works is, and so really, this is just simply a corporate action. And what else I put down was the company Connected to Live was founded in 1989. So this goes all the way back to the very same year that we graduated high school. And it operates under established bylaws, shareholder agreements, and employment contracts that govern how the business functions and how its intellectual property is protected. So these are agreements that all 4 shareholders of the company have signed and agreed to. And it's the company's job to make sure that all of the shareholders or even outside entities basically abide by the law and what the company owns. So, and this now goes directly to the fans. From the outside, it might appear like the disagreements are between the individual musicians. However, the litigation itself, including recent corporate actions, reflects company level responsibilities, not personal disputes. Some of the individuals involved happen to also be founding members of the band, which
Right.
can blur that distinction publicly. But legally, there is an important difference between the individuals and the corporation itself. The corporation issued Ed a revocation letter, and the corporation itself has a fiduciary duty to the shareholders to protect its intellectual property rights. And then, so for me, how, like if you read any of the press, it says like Chad Gracie or Chad Taylor issued
Cease and desist. Right.
Yeah.
a revocation letter. But okay, in my capacity, right, as the president of the company, I'm following directions from the company's board. It's the company that issued the revocation letter consistent with its governance obligations. And basically, from this point forward, the courts will evaluate the matter based on evidence developed through discovery, sworn testimony, and ultimately, if necessary, a trial. So, this is why the company has legal counsel, and we'll rely on that legal counsel. Ed will rely on his legal counsel, and they'll basically fight this out at some point. If it
Gotcha.
goes all the way, it'll be in front of a jury. And, it's my job as one of the corporate officers to have a good understanding of the corporate governance and the contracts that the company has signed, and basically to protect and defend that, right? So in that role, I'm not the guitarist in live. I'm the representative, essentially, of the company's board.
Yeah, you have a different obligation. It
Yeah,
seems like
most,
this is. No,
well,
sorry, go
what I
ahead.
was going to say is most laymen look at it like an inter-band dispute. And while we're all members of the band, this issue is in between Action Front, that has historically owned and controlled Live's intellectual property, and, Ed Kowalczyk.
It seems like this filing was long overdue. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chad.
I was going to say we figured and probably knew that it was going to defy the cease and desist anyway. So that was not a.
Well, his side, to be fair, his side is going to say, I'm not violating anything. This is why you have courts.
Right.
Right.
Well, of course. That's what
so, and to be fair, I've tried, like, I don't know where I'm at spiritually in my life. Like, there's no spirit in me of the get back, the revenge, anything like that. It's just like, look, it just is what it is. It's a corporate matter. We have attorneys that advise the board, and, they look through the governance standards and rules, and then say, well, these practices are being abused, etc. This isn't the first time that the company's had to go through this. The company went through this in 2010 and then again in 2012. And in those two cases, ultimately, Ed settled. So, it's a shame for the fans that they have to go through this. Like, I saw someone saying, well, like, oh, all the members of Live ought to just hang it up. Well, that's out in fairy tale land. There are, like, record deals, royalties, all those things that are going on. Certainly for me, I'm not. I just happen to be one of those people. I'm not interested in performing with Ed. I don't enjoy his artistry. He doesn't do it for me. Doesn't turn me on. I don't want to write songs for him anymore. But that doesn't mean that, Ed's a bad artist or something like that. I mean, he has every right to get on stage and to play music. But if he's going to put the Live moniker behind him, well, then, of course, the corporate attorneys are going to weigh in, etc.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, I feel like this was long overdue. What you guys have built up amongst fans, amongst the music industry, for the name of Live is something not many bands do. I mean, Rolling Stones Artist of the Year, 95, 25, 30 million records sold. I mean, you guys built up a lot of credibility in the music industry, and for a second-rate band to be touring under that name and maybe even putting out new music under it, that's not, anywhere near what you guys are doing. It needs to be protected, because it's not right to not protect that legacy that you guys built up from teenagers. It's insane. So I'm glad you guys are having to take that step and are taking it. But it seems like there's a long legal battle ahead.
Well, for example, this legal battle started in 2023 when Chad Gracie sued Ed. It took me a while to wake up to it, because it was filed originally sealed, which for anybody watching means that I couldn't actually read the documents. So, yes, it's very complicated. It will probably take years to adjudicate. I think that's why I just, focused on, my personal health and, my music, and not to say that it's out of sight, out of mind. I'm I'm not standing on stage with that unit of people. So it's not really for me to judge, how they're doing or whatever. I have my opinion. I have my ears. I have all those things, but I don't think I just don't think I should weigh in on that. Only from the stance of I wouldn't really weigh in on any other artist. If you've made it and you're tremendously successful, and you've, practiced your craft and done all those things, I wish you the best. It's just that for me, it's like, well, I wish you the best, but, why don't you write your own damn hit songs and form your own hit band, and then we'll see how you do.
Right. So basically, this is if this goes through the way it is, since it seems like the four original members might never get back on a stage. I always said, when you guys get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you will, because I know you guys will be inducted someday, that you guys would maybe get on the stage together. But I'm thinking maybe not at this point. Is the idea then the band live would just then no longer be, except for back catalogs and everything else? There'd be no touring live going forward.
Well, we'll see. It's funny because there is technically no live, at least on stage right now, legally speaking.
Right.
That
well, I guess my question was
that would be my lawyer's or our lawyer's position would be that there is no live. It's not legitimate. The only live, actually, currently is probably Chad Patrick and I, and we're not on stage.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess my thing was like, would there be a path? Like, say you guys weren't to get on stage together. Would there be a path for Ed to keep that name and say you guys maybe pick musicians that could represent your music properly, or if they did put out new music, maybe you guys had say on it or stuff like that? But that's kind of deep and fucking probably a headache.
Yeah. What I think it, what my sort of like superior thinking in that moment thinks is like, well, one, I don't want to pigeonhole anything. I also think it's very important to establish that Chad, Ed, and Patrick are the founding members of Live. I don't want to, at this point, take away from anyone's earnest credibility that they had from way back in the day. I did read some fans said, well, Ed is Live or Ed founded Live or something, which is factually not correct.
Yeah. Sorry.
Chad Gracie, Patrick, and myself, founded the band, and then Ed joined. I mean, and who even really cares? I mean, obviously Ed was a substantial contributor to the music, but what I take personal offense to, which really has nothing to do with the legal fight, is just the attempt by, I'll say the attempt to erase the substantial contributions that Chad Gracie, Patrick, and myself made to the band. That was part of, like, for example, when Ed was returning to the band, people ask about the turn all the time, but one of Ed's demands was that the turn be taken down. I wish I wouldn't have capitulated with that, but I mean, I promise you that you're going to see the turn again.
Yeah, baby.
Because the board will, vote in favor of re-releasing that album. I'm 100% positive about that. Of course, I would like Chris Shin's consent to be able to do that, and his blessing. But like, we are going to release music in some way, shape, or form, whether that's the historic stuff from Live. And then the next thing is, I really don't know what the future looks like. I just don't. And what I know, this is one of the reasons why I started Chad Taylor's Mercy Revival, because I want to be on stage. I want to play music. I don't want to sit around and wait on this respectfully bullshit. That's why you guys put the shit in bullshit.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, we Chad Gracie, anything you wanted to add to that?
I think covered it pretty well. I mean, it's I think one of the things that Chad, Patrick, and I are trying to do is protect our legacy as well. I mean, it seems readily apparent that in whatever promotional materials puts out, whatever interviews he does, Ed does not speak about us and does not give any.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, there's no credit for anything in the past for us, which is just crazy, because I'll do it all day. I'll give him all the credit in the world for his great lyrics and melody and some of the song ideas he wrote and became live songs. But the three of us, Patrick, Chad, and I, get none of that from him. And I don't understand the deep-seated animosity that causes that.
So can
but, hey, what are you
doing? I wanted to hop off this and go to your new band, Chad. But absolutely. I honestly believe that this was Ed Kowalczyk's plan from the moment you guys got back together. I believe it was 2016. I don't think it was ever sincere. I think he wanted to, for whatever happened between 2009 and when you guys got back together, the talking and stuff and whatever, he had a vendetta, and this was his fucking plan to go in and jack the band and get the name and fucking do it exactly how he's doing it. I don't think it was sincere at all. Do you got, and I thought about this for a minute. I don't know if I've ever voiced it to you, Chad Gracie, but do you guys think that at all? Or do you think I'm crazy?
wants to hear that one?
Well, what I will say is an interesting thing. I was talking to one of the band's original managers, just in a casual conversation, and he reminded me, there's a total reframing of what was the actual reality, which was Ed wanted to pursue a solo career all the way back in 2009 and essentially left us stranded without a vocalist. I describe it, for me, I only relate it to as me as a creator, who, I contributed substantial songs to this band. And at some point, Ed just said, "Well, I don't want to write your songs anymore." And in some weird way, I mean, it would be like a sexless marriage. Like there was like the intimacy was gone. Now I was being shut out from that process. And I mean, it was very hurtful. It was painful. And you could tell I did some therapy work there.
Yeah. Hit
It
your
was
bell. Don't forget
hurtful
your
and it
bell.
was painful. And yet I still stuck by Ed. Like, meaning what I decided was that, hey, like, I don't know, Bob Dylan didn't always have co-songwriters. Ed doesn't particularly have to have me as a co-songwriter. But yet one of the, the signature aspects of the band, the Damn It Otter Creeks, the White Discussions, the Lee Keeney's Juice, whatever, those are other things that I brought to the band. Well, he's still playing those songs. Last night,
Yeah.
he opened the show. I guess it was last night, opened the show with Operation Spirit. I mean, I wrote that song. I delivered it literally to the band. And by the way, cool that the song's still there, but I guarantee you that if you took every song that I birthed and brought into this band and took out of the set list, it'd be the most boring show on planet Earth.
Oh yeah. And let's not forget, granted, The Distance to Here, a great album from you guys, but some of the best songs are not on that album because I guess he didn't want your heavily written songs on there. Like Change is one I'm thinking of. There's
Don't Wait.
Still Aroused, Don't Wait. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting hard. I'm getting hard over here thinking about those songs, just to let you know.
That was an interesting thing. I just gotten through, I think we just had our second child, and Ed said, whatever, I'll handle mastering. I'll go to mastering. I always attended mastering. And I stayed at home, and I got a FedEx in the mail. This is before you could send email around the files or share a file, whatever. And I got a FedEx in the mail, and I was so excited to hear the record. Very proud of everything we did. Speaking of Christopher Thorne, he made some great contributions to that record. Michael Railton was on that album, and of course produced by Jerry. And we worked with Stefan Segmeister on their album cover. It's one of my, it's just a beautiful album. Everything about it is great. I got the CD out. I had just purchased a brand new Conrad Johnson stereo system with like amazing, like primo speakers. I was like getting into hi-fi or something at the time. And, I pressed play on the CD and it played down. I was like, oh my God, like where are all my songs?
Right.
And, that was a tough reality. It was, now to be fair, if you listen to the grouping of songs on The Distance to Here, I actually think it's pretty good. I think it's a good album. I'm not sure how those other songs would have fit in there. And so from that holistic approach, I don't think Ed was wrong. But what was wrong was the way that it was not communicated.
Yeah. So you guys didn't. So when you say mastering, because maybe not many people know what that is, that's like where you get the actual final product that's going out to the masses.
Yeah, so that's where the final assembly of the songs in order, final EQ, compression. So you're essentially balancing the individual mixes of a song as a collective body, and then that body. Back in the day when there were CDs made, they would create. I think it was called a Red List CD, and it was the final master, and that was used to replicate all of the CDs, and so that would have determined the order and the way it was going to be made.
Gotcha.
So, and by that point, of course, we were rushing into manufacturing. So like there you go, there's your album.
Yeah, too late.
It's interesting because there was a similar experience over the like for example, the songs from Mountain was like I don't know, suddenly like we got sent a record cover and it was like Ed's back and he was like, yeah, the record label really wanted me on the cover. I don't know, and at that point, I can't be I just be honest, I could care less. I'm allowed my personal opinion, but like that song The River is like utter dog shit. It's one of the worst
Yeah.
songs I've ever heard.
Mhm.
An utter embarrassment and should have never been under the moniker of live. I'm disappointed for all the live fans that I allowed it to even be released. I should have put my foot down back then, but I was doing the same thing. I was thinking, well, look, we all have our moments. We have different things. So this is what Ed's into. Like here locally, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's the same way across the country, but like The River is where rock songs go to die. It's like the terrible radio station that like no one wants to listen to unless you're an old fogey. Like, so we're putting out a new song called The River. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on? To me, that was the beginning of the end. That wasn't really a band album. And it exists under the same type of architecture where it's done very like sneakily, where I don't even know if that's a word, but
Yeah, it
someone
is.
check me on that. But my point is, it wasn't like we were sitting down and having earnest conversations as a group. In fact, one of the key things to know that things were going wrong was that we just stopped meeting as a unit.
Wow.
One of the reasons why we did that, I mean, Chad, you and I have talked about this, is because, in that environment, Ed is not as powerful as when he isolates us. And of course, that's what
Right.
he's trying to do today, I
Yeah.
think. And that has nothing
Yes.
to do with legal proceedings. That's just how he perceives his power. But anyone, with half understanding of psychology knows that that's, the ultimate place of weakness.
Yeah.
And I do not want to pick on Ed. This is a guy that like I spent most of my life defending. And I'm not a turncoat kind of guy. I mean, it's just not my nature. I like the band. I've fought for the band almost my whole life. The fact that we're put in this position is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's
but there's
shitty.
one common denominator. It's very consistent.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that, on piggybacking on Chad saying these about the band, like I think Chad, Patrick, and I have always been about the band. Like we want the best for the band. We wanted the band to go forward. We wanted the band to stay together.
You were about the music, not
And what
even the
we-
band.
Well, no. We were about the band, the fucking unit of the band. Like that was the three of ours. That was our number one priority, is the band.
Okay.
Ed's number one priority is Ed. Period.
Yeah.
End of story.
I
So,
mean, it's
that's how it goes.
clear as day. So real quick though, so Chad Taylor, when you get the Distance to Hear back and your songs aren't on it, like, so what did you think though? Because there's no discussion about like the track listing on there, and then you probably had like 20 songs or something for that album. Like, did you, like, since you weren't going for the mastering part of it, did you not think to like say, hey, what are we putting on here? Or were you thinking like, hey, they're not going to send me a full CD with it already tracked out, we're going to have a discussion on it?
Hey, that's a great question. One that, I probably worked on a little bit with my therapist, which was, why didn't I do a better job advocating for myself? I will say this, that I probably shut down emotionally, like that. I felt so hurt. And that if Chad and Patrick weren't going to advocate for me, then I would just shut up. I kind of needed them as brothers in the moment, but yet I didn't tell them I was going through that emotion. So one of the problems and how resentments build in all relationships, this isn't just about a band, are those, unspoken thoughts where you elected not to share, which I elected not to share, how much that hurt.
Sure.
I didn't share it with Chad. I didn't share it with Patrick. And they, at that point, I think that, I mean, I just remember in my personal life, I was busy trying to make a family.
Sure.
And I was like, well, I'll just put my effort in over there and I'll be the best, guitarist on tour that I can be. And I'll treat the fans well. And try and be respectful to the relationship to each member. But yet I do admit that I was quietly building resentments like that. I was thinking, well, how dare Chad Gracie, like, I wrote this song or whatever and contributor, like, how dare he not, stick up for me? And I've talked to him about this, privately. Like, it wasn't just his job to know that. And then, for example,
Right.
when Gracie was always the best arbiter of, I don't know, I will say coolness or vibe or feel, right in the middle working on a song that maybe I invested a whole bunch of time into, or Ed, he might say, well, this is terrible. I don't like it. And I would probably say the vast majority of the time he was right.
Yeah.
And then eventually he got sick of being the asshole. While I was going, and by the way, he wasn't being an asshole. He was advocating for the art the way he heard it. But I was feeling the same way with, like, well, if you don't like Don't Wait and you don't like Change or Still Aroused by Love, like, then this just isn't my band. I still argue that Live ended literally at the second day of the making of Throwing Copper. It was over. That was the end of the band, and that everything else was just an aftershock of having such a tremendously huge album and an incredible recording. I do believe that the spirit of the band walked out the door when Ed, sat us down and he told us, that he deserved the lion's share of musical publishing. Despite the fact that for years we had worked in a very specific architecture, even the writing of those songs. And it started with, Chad Gracie shouldn't receive anything. He plays the drums. He's not a songwriter. And then,
fuck, bro.
Yeah. And then Patrick and I just basically saying, well, like, oh my God, this is crazy. Management was there. It was ultimately Ed. He had a turtle named Murdy, and he grabbed Murdy the turtle and went to pack it. I guess he was packing the turtle and his belongings into the back of his Honda Accord, and he was about to drive home to Lancaster. We hadn't recorded a single note. And the band was really over then. In spirit, we were done. And what Ed said to me privately is like, Taylor, you do your thing. Like, you bring me songs. We have this thing, and I don't know what Gracie does. I don't know what Dahlheimer does.
Wow.
And, I want to just say this. I was stuck like pickle in the middle. One, I was a terrible advocate for the issues that Ed was facing because he did need someone to help navigate this complexity because it is complex. And then I was a terrible friend to Chad and Patrick. And I just also want to say I'm the oldest member of the band, but they're still my peers. We were boys. Like, we weren't men.
Yeah.
And I was just going, well, like, can't some adult jump in here? Like David Sestak, our manager, or Jerry Harrison was there. Can't someone explain to us, make this make sense? And I do really believe that Ed harbored resentment to all three of us ever since that day. Because, we weren't going to, give up. We weren't going to let go. We were like, we're a band with these our vibe was, all in, all for one. Now, all of a sudden upon the making of the record, you want to do it differently.
Yeah.
And that was very, very tough. And to be fair to Ed, okay, because in some way, shape, or form, there were probably, sophisticated lawyers and managers and other people that were around the band already at this point.
Yeah,
vampires.
vampires.
Perhaps been counseling him, not me, his childhood bud, with a guitar in my hand. And I don't know, I think I was still drooling playing the guitar. Like, I was concentrating so hard. So I got stuck in a very unfair position there. And also, like, what was I going to do? Allow, like, Chad Gracie to be cut out of the publishing? I mean, hell no. Like, I was just like, no. What I'm disappointed in myself is that I didn't say, if that's really how you feel, get in your car and go home. And then we just never made Throwing Copper.
Oh my God, what a different fucking world. But here's what Ed's thinking in a normal band is probably right. What do I need to pay the bassist and the drummer and even the lead guitarist as much, a quarter of what, it is. But they're not such an integral part of the band. It was you guys together, the way you gelled as musicians that fucking made it all fucking so bomb and perfect. And so, you can see as the lead singer, what am I paying the bassist and drummer this for? I'll just cut them out, get some other people do their job just as well. No, you can't. They're not fucking Chad Gracie. They're not Patrick Delheimer. They're not Chad Taylor. And it's clear, dude, that when you guys stop being all four in the room, picking the songs, writing the music together, and everybody bringing ideas to the table, that the music just fell way off. And as a fan, because you guys are my favorite band, I was like embarrassed to defend your later albums. Like I still had appreciation for them because I'm a fan of your music, but people would be like, what, he's talking about Jimmy Buffett and your dad? Like, what is he singing over here? And I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. You gotta love it. So it's just like, it's crazy that he, like, even if you're the biggest egomaniac in the world, if you don't see that what you're doing now is nothing compared to what was being done back in the day, it blows my mind. Like, I cannot believe that people can be that blind to their own shit. It's crazy. And the fact that you guys had the magic sauce, the whole magic recipe to be, one of the best bands that come out of the 90s, and you're all four still healthy. You're all four still fucking could pick up and do it, and it's just not there, not happening. It sucks, dude.
Well, I'll go on record and say this, which is that there is one consistent magic and special sauce, and that is Chad Gracie, Patrick Dahlheimer, and Chad Taylor. That's it.
Boom.
Period.
Boom.
We didn't need Ed when we did The Gracious Few. I didn't need Ed when I was producing hit records,
Yep.
Outside of the band or writing hit songs. So, that's just the reality. The Gracious Few, we had 2 top 10 singles. I know Ed hasn't had that with his solo career. So it is not the same. And in fact, actually, one of the most insulting things ever was when Ed, decided to fire me via social media, which obviously he had no right to do. But where he said, like, you'll never stop the music again. I was thinking, hold on, you're the guy that pursued your solo career and left and then begged to come the hell back in the band. Like, what do I have to do with stopping the music? Like, write a song, like do something productive. That's my take on it. And, I still know that my legacy as a songwriter is always going to be tied to Chad Gracie, Patrick Dahlheimer, and Ed Kowalczyk. But I will say that I've also worked with some fantastic other vocalists in Kevin Martin and in Chris Shin. It's not just that one thing. We have done it. We've showed that we can do it amongst a large, wide swath of people. And, I think in some weird way that we're one of the rare bands that could do that. For example, I saw that the current touring version of Live is out doing, and they're doing Run to the Water. Like Patrick brought that song to the band. Which other bands are out there, where the bassist, the guitar player, and even the vocalist are bringing songs into the band? That's the thing that made Live so great.
The Beatles, another fun.
Yeah,
the Beatles. What I'm saying? Bands like that.
Yeah, I know someone will take this as, I just want to say, I was the biggest fan of Ed. I was his biggest fan, his biggest proponent. Believed in the guy. I was brave enough. Like, I had, different than the other guys, I had the opportunity to go to a private school. I could have went to Mercersburg Academy. I was invited onto the swim team there. I could have left. I could have probably pursued law. There's a lot of different stuff that I could have done. I let that all go. I mean, I told the swim coach at Mercersburg Academy, I literally was like, well, I have a band, and like, these are my brothers, and like, I can't leave them behind. A huge component of that is, my whatever kindergarten bud Ed, right? I mean, I know that he sacrificed for us too, right? He got a full scholarship into American University, which is no slack college. It's an incredible school. And that was the point. We all sacrificed together. Chad Gracie's very point. We were about the band, about the collective. Yeah. And, that's an inconvenient truth for someone that wants to take credit for, I don't know, kind of everything. I know that there's, like a 5-part video series that was put out on social media about, Ed writing Lightning Crashes. Well, let me just say this, right? First of all, I wrote the entirety of the bridge of that song, which I will tell you sits right at the epicenter of the song and helps it
Oh, yeah.
transition from a minor modality into a major modality. I'm happy to sit in front of a jury and explain how I wrote that and why I wrote that to do that and why the song feels so uplifting when you hit the end, right? That's my contribution. Like, I know I brought that. You know, I'm happy to sit there with a guitar and explain like how all the parts were to be played around it. That's my country. Like, you can hear it. It's in the middle of the thing. So don't tell the world that I didn't contribute to that. That is not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not truthful. And it reeks of, you know, sort of like cowardice or something. That's how I really feel about it. Is like, what a coward wouldn't say that. You
It
know, if
reeks
you
of
did
loser
something,
mentality.
yeah, look,
Sorry.
when Ed walked in the room and he sat down with that guitar and he strummed "Lightning Crashes," I thought, oh my God, I almost fell over.
Right.
He did do that. That is the reality. But there was no chorus to the song. Okay. And there was no bridge to the song. There was no big outro. None of those things existed. But
Yeah.
yet, if you were to watch the videos that are online, you would believe that he walked in with the whole band in the room, said, "Hey, I came up with this beautiful
Right.
thing, and here it goes."
Mhm.
I am not discrediting what he did do. It's
Yeah.
just that is a lie. It's literally a lie, and I don't
You
really care what anybody says about it. And then the other thing about it is it's not only what's being said in the public, but it's backed up by contracts. So, meaning contracts where we had to all sign as publishers or songwriters on it and say, okay, this is the percentage that we wrote.
right.
Those are signed agreements. Now, what are
Yeah.
you gonna? Now you're gonna present something completely different to the public. I mean, that's just it's not fair. It's just simply not fair.
It's not fair. It's not right. And it makes it's like a loser mentality. Like, give credit where credit is due, especially when his contribution was so big anyway. Like, why take away, you know, what was such a huge part of that? It just it blows my mind. Like, I just don't get it. You know, it's like,
Certainly pushing other people down does not rise you up.
correct. And I think when you guys were, and like you were saying, Gracie was kind of pushing back and he got sick of it because he didn't want to be a dick. Meanwhile, he wasn't being a dick. He's protecting the music. But I think, and you were saying like during the distance here, like you weren't fighting for your songs at that point. Maybe you guys, the three of you, the two Chads and Patricks, didn't maybe fully know your worth at that point and kind of what you brought. And then you realized that when you guys did make the turn and you guys did make the Gracious Few, you guys were the fucking the band. Yeah, you had a great lead singer who could write fucking great melodies and good lyrics and bring his own songs to the band as well. But it's clear that every song on the Gracious Few, banger, start to finish, the whole album. The Turn, start to finish, banger of an album. You guys hadn't had that since, I mean, I love The Distance to Here, so I'll say since The Distance to Here, but really since like Secret Samadhi. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's clear. Like, I don't know. Like if I was Ed, I would fucking put my pride aside and be like, yeah, I need my brothers, I need my boys, my friends I grew up with, and we should fucking somehow try to bury the hatchet. Yeah, Jesse Diaz, open it up.
That, it's interesting. There's definitely much more of that brotherhood spirit with Chris Shin. I'll just be honest and upfront. You know, like I got back in
Kevin
the room
Martin
with Chris.
too. Yeah.
It's just like I mean, first of all, he's just flat out has an amazing voice. You know, it's just brilliant. And like I said, he's aged into his voice, not out of it. And
Yeah.
you know, there's something very youthful about that, you know, higher register. And it's just, I will say this. So as I was putting together, you know, my new project, my new band,
Yes.
it's the very first time that I've worked on music, you know, where I'm contemplating it as a band without Chad Gracie and without Patrick. And boy, is that something new and really hard and intimidating.
Sure.
Talk about taking things, you know, for granted. And then it's been really interesting to work with a group of musicians because we do play live songs, we play Gracious Few songs, we play brand new material. But what's interesting is as we're working on the more, I'll say classic cover versions of what the songs are, is the respect that Gracie and Dahlheimer draw out of the rest of the band. And for a matter of fact, Ed too. Just with each musician having to kind of learn those parts. It's because I'm working, I guess I'm working sort of as a mentor, teacher, or whatever in that position. I've also had to address it. Like, oh, hold on, what does Gracie really play here?
Yeah.
One of the guys in the band actually looked at me and they were like, wait, you don't know that? And I was like, yeah, I just like took it for granted. Like, you needed a good beat. Gracie played it. I don't, what's he doing in I Alone? Well, all of a sudden, like you said, if it's not being played correctly, boy, you really sense it. It's like, oh, I actually looked at the guy, our drummer. I'm not going to say the band members' names yet because management has asked me to hold some things back. But
Sure.
I looked at the drummer in the middle of playing Lightning Crashes, and Gracie plays this very unique thing where he's going back and forth on the hi-hat, left, right, left, right. And the guy was not doing that. And then I just motioned to him, took my hands off the guitar and showed him. And the second he did, he was like, oh, yeah, that's great. And then afterwards, I said, he has a whole YouTube video channel showing all these drum parts. And the guy's like, I got to check that out.
Yeah.
That's what I did it for.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chad. And also, like, people should know, I've been real upfront with my new project, Chad Taylor's Mercy Revival, about saying that, I only have a handful of guys that I started playing with and met at the age of 13, and that's Chad Gracie and Patrick Dahlheimer, and they're always going to hold a priority spot in my life. So, for example, there is room where Chad, Patrick, maybe Chris Shin and I could get in a room and like make noise or do something. In the meantime, I kind of look at this as like, my Joe Perry project or Slash's Snake Pit or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
I don't think that anybody in Slash's band, I think they're all pretty realistic that if Guns N' Roses called, he was going to have to go and do the Guns N' Roses gig. My guys all understand that. And in the meantime, it's a great way to, one, write new songs, reconnect with music. Everyone knows how important that is to me. And then two, like, learn some other musicians. Like, I'm 55. Since the age of 13, I've really worked with Chad Gracie and Patrick Dahlheimer. A handful of other singers, but it is interesting to like go out into the world and expand that a little bit. And I'm really talking about here where I'm not being an album producer, but in fact being a member of a band.
Right. Quick question here. So, or statement actually, because again, The Turn was such a great album, but I think since it was a live album, it kind of divided your fan base, like the Ed fans and then the CCP fans. So I think if that album was put out like The Gracious Few or like a different band name, I think that would have been so well received. But I think the negative connotation on that was like the fucking Ed Kowalczyk, fucking taint liquors, had negative things to say on it because, I mean, that is a killer fucking album, dude. Siren's Call, let's go. Anyway, just a statement by me. Yeah, so talk to me about Mercy Revival. Chad Taylor's Mercy Revival. Do you mind if I play a little bit of Honest Man for the audience?
Sure, yeah, why not? I did post it.
Cool.
Yeah, buddy. This is cool, man. I love this rendition, so you guys are in for a treat right here. Chad Taylor's Mercy Revival, I'm sorry, Honest Man. Only because it's not like it's only. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
only because it's like getting distorted and stuff. That is fucking badass, dude. That's why I didn't play the whole thing. I want people to go and actually check out
fine.
what you put out.
Yeah. So what management? Basically how this came about. The whole project is, I started working on Chad Taylor and Friends. I learned new versions of our songs. I was trying to figure out how to front a band, which was work I should have done years and years before, because if anything would have had me, like understanding and respecting the Kevin Martins, the Christians, and even the Eds of the world, is to stand at that microphone. There is a whole different responsibility happening up there. And actually, had I not done that, there's a nod to getting sober in there, which is, I know if I was, if I was just the guitar player, I would have gotten away with that show. Like, I might have been sloppy, but I would have gotten away with it. It was because I had to talk into the microphone. I was like slurring my words and stuff. And so then I decided to take a little time off, period, from music and, work on my mental health. And during that time, I was really thinking to myself, well, what am I going to do? Like, what does my future with music look like? Because I know it's really important. And so I had an internal discussion with myself about the feeling of being on stage. And what I was really missing was the ability to look left or right and to see my brothers in the band and enjoy that like musical moment with them. And I'm telling you, when you're at that front microphone, that is a really, really tall task. You're thinking, well, I know for me, like, I'd be in the middle of, a thought. I'd see somebody in the audience I knew or something, and I'd think about it. And about 2 seconds later, I was forgetting a word. I was like, oh my God, like it's a nightmare. And when you forget one, I know this sounds weird. It's like a train wreck. So that was a new experience. And then all of a sudden I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, what I miss really doing is being on stage and having fun. And part of having fun is I love to play the guitar. I'm a guitarist. So I was on the phone with my manager, and I was telling him about this, about like how I want to move forward and how I want to approach things. And he said, well, I know a fantastic guy that I think that has a voice would work great with your music.
Wait a second. Is this the dude from Van Halen singing?
I'm not going to reveal the singer's name today because I gotta withhold. I've learned from Taylor Swift, you gotta, sprinkle
okay, yeah, hold some stuff. But because hold on, because I listened to this song like 3 times, and by the 3rd time, I'm like, that sounds like David Lee Roth. When like I heard him do like some solo like blues stuff, and I'm like, that sounds like his voice. And then I'm like, well. Then I heard some of your live stuff. Like, could be Chad Taylor.
When in time, the guy's going to come out, but he's become a tremendous friend, and he's been so supportive of my vision for music. And so I never worked like this. Like, when you work with Kevin Martin has a very distinct, unique way of singing and going in. Whereas here I was taking guide vocals and then sending it to our singer, and
cool.
He was like, oh, let me make this better. And
nice.
So like, for example, in Honest Man, it's a great example. Like, I didn't have the vocal skills. He goes up on the second verse and he sings higher and higher towards the end of the song. Well, I can't do that. In my head, it would sound great if it did it. Well, then it's like all of a sudden, I will be honest with you. It was the middle of the night when I got my first like return track after he had sang, and I was sitting here at my kitchen table with some headphones on, and I started yelling out loud, and I woke up the whole house because like I kind of knew I found my voice. I found the guy, and by this point, that is such an important thing. It's integral. Are you going to connect with this person's voice and their soul? And then we started moving in. The next experiment was, well, okay, well, he can clearly sing a Gracious Fuse song. Can he sing, one of the live songs? And then we went through that. And then I think we did I Alone first. And that just turned out amazing. And then I was like, oh, hold on. I think like I got my guy. I'm calling the manager and saying, originally it was, can I just have this guy sing on a song? I wasn't contemplating a band. Let's be clear. And then all of a sudden I was like, ooh, would he be up for doing a band? And then I went to the other people that had been playing with me, and I said, well, look, we have to keep on rehearsing. And so this all was building and building and building until we finally went in the studio and we recorded 16 songs in one day.
What?
Yeah, one day.
That's crazy.
Wow.
It was pretty crazy. It's unlike anything else ever. So we did 2 days of rehearsal back to back, and we took what was supposed to originally be a day off. We just went in the studio first thing in the morning, and we played that same set list or thing that we rehearsed front to back. In some cases, maybe the max was 3 takes, but usually 2 takes, and then, hey,
Wow.
move on. So everything that you're hearing is so spontaneous and happened on the spot. And by the way, there's some flubs and some mistakes and some of that coolness that like makes a recording come to life.
Yeah.
And when all the legal drama and all that stuff hit, I was like, I'm about music. I just want to show people I've been behind the scenes working on music. And then the next thing is, and then out of blue, suddenly I'm on stage with Christian. I'm also then, having conversations with Chad Gracie about, what does that look like for us? How can we do our creative thing? So
Right.
the point is to say yes to making music and having fun.
Yes.
And making sure that the spirit of get backs and resentment and all that is over on the other side. I'm not letting that in my camp. I'm not letting it happen in my musical universe. I want to keep everything focused forward and on, being the best integral person I can be. I know I have my flaws, my mistakes, still owning up for those, apologizing, and also now trying to be a better band leader. I didn't have to lead Chad Gracie. I didn't have to lead Patrick. I mean, that's the reality. Those guys, when we were young and naive, we were young and naive together. When we were more experienced, we were more experienced together. And I don't know. And then, the future's wide open. Tom Petty wrote it, but I'm trying to live it.
So, I love that. Good saying. Out of those 16 songs, Chad, how many are newer ones that you made as opposed to recreations of your songs?
Well, okay, so I wrote 24 brand new songs, and
Wow.
then I have like slowly whittled that down to ones that I thought that the band should focus on early. I know this, like one of the things I didn't want to do was go out and stand on stage and not honor the history of live and the gracious few.
For
And
sure.
I know that it's difficult to stand there and listen to a whole set of all brand new songs. So I was like, let's just make sure that the new stuff that we're peppering it in. So there's 6 brand new songs recorded, but there's a whole bastion of songs and perhaps even some that Chad Gracie or Patrick will want to play on. And then
Yes.
others that are more appropriate for, this particular band, the Mercy Revival. And I want to say to everybody that, naming a band is like horrible. It's the worst thing because one, you can internet search and somebody has everything taken. And by the way, it could be argued live is either one of the best names or one of the very worst names. So, that's out there. But with Mercy Revival, I wanted to take a shot at, first of all, there were so many people along this journey that even some people that I really viewed as like aggressors towards me or adversaries or against me. And as I got sober and I started doing the 12 steps, which is part of that is you have to reach out to even those people. I wound up with men, real men, and some incredible women, but men like Chad Gracie saying, well, brother, I love you. I was just waiting on you to come home. These are like really important things. And so it was through his support, Patrick's support, Christian's support, all these people that I just never really thought would ever, I don't know, even talk to me again, that I felt suddenly supported, protected, lifted up. And so that's where mercy came from, right? Because that goes right along with that. I did get a little mercy. And then in terms of being revived, I am revived.
Yeah.
I'm brand new. I'm whole again. And by the way, there is an opportunity. I just want to say this. There's an opportunity for healing, even with Mr. Kowalczyk. There is always a chance to heal. There's always a chance to mend fences. There's always a chance to offer forgiveness. It doesn't mean that everything has to be forgotten or swept away, but there is an ability to look at each other and say, I don't know, this is just bullshit, and put it down. It's all there for the taking. I'm up for it. Gracie's up for it. Dahlheimer's up for it. Again, no get backs, no resentments, no place like that. Oh yeah, do I have some tough stories from the past where my poor little boy heart got broken? Sure, but I'm also over that.
Right. Yeah, bygones be bygones, past is the past, and fucking see what's going on. But it seems like somebody's got a vendetta on their mind. Seems like he's out for blood, all that jazz. But dude, I'm serious. That rendition of Honest Man is awesome. I'm excited to figure out who's in the band. So I like how you're holding some things close to the chest, which is cool. And you plan on putting an album out, it seems, and then you want to get on stage and do a little tour with this, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so our goal is to be a hardcore touring band. One of the differences that happens in life, I had children very young in the band, so my daughters are now adults, and they're all in their 20s, and I missed a lot of the years of them being little and while I was on the road, etc. But now that they're grown and out of the house, I'm like, well, it's time for daddy to make music. So I want to get on the road as really as soon as humanly possible. Interesting enough, from just putting up that Honest Man song, I had a couple different promoters from our past reach out to me on Instagram and say, hey, I'm interested in booking you or whatever. We're finally ready for shows. So the next our step, in working with management, is to get an agency. We're in light discussions with a record label, and we'll probably release some songs. And then, just like everything, the old school music industry is out. But I will say this. I'm all into physical product. Like, I want an album. I want physical CDs, cassettes, and vinyl. I'm not really interested in the streaming.
Don't do cassettes. Don't do cassettes.
Funny enough, cassettes are a very hot thing amongst younger people right now.
Are you
super
serious?
hot again. Yes. Oh yeah.
Why? They don't even sound good. You hear the hiss and shit.
Oh man, sometimes that hiss just makes you feel good.
Yeah, I get that with the records, that needle click or whatever. People are turned on by that too.
Yeah, I listened. Funny enough, one of the Christmas gifts I got from my daughter Ruby Lou a couple years ago was a turntable, and I dug out my old record collection, which is so funny because I can't help but look at that record collection and think of Chad Gracie and I in my boyhood bedroom when, I don't know, we had the Pretty in Pink soundtrack or the Smiths or all those early albums, and I have to put them on the player, and I had my old Pioneer stereo that had tubes in it and stuff, stuff that at one point you were like, oh, well, this is archaic. Now I'm like, oh, well, that's all in vogue, and I wish I had all that stuff. But I mean, so fans and lovers of music can expect a more organic approach. And the next thing about how I designed this too is that, look, we're going to sound great in a 100-seat club, and we're going to sound awesome in, a 25,000 person, festival. And, and most importantly, live fans are going to be able to come out and hear the songs that they love, but have, some brand new songs sprinkled in there too. This has got to be about new music. I've had that mentality all along. But, we did an interesting thing, Chad and I, when we had the Gracious Few. We disallowed ourselves from playing live or playing Candlebox songs. And in some weird ways, it would have made the shows easier. Promoters would have understood, oh, well, when I get the Gracious Few, they play a couple of Candlebox hits, a couple of live hits. Oh, and their brand new album. Why didn't we allow ourselves the permission to do that? That's my whole point. That's what I'm doing with this project. I've just given myself permission to play the songs of my history. And live fans should know, I've told Chad Gracie this to him personally.
Wait, hold on real quick.
He comes out to a show, like, he is getting on the drums, like, it's happening.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
If Patrick Dahlhammer comes out, or Christian or Kevin Martin, whoever, this is a place where everybody can feel safe and feel that they're going to be honored and that they are always have a place and a position on our stage.
Bam. So wait, were you guys doing the John Fogerty thing where he wouldn't play like Creedence songs in concert? Like, was it like on a merit thing? Like you didn't want to? Wow.
We wanted the new music to speak for itself, and buck in our old bands and that shit.
Oh.
Hey, so Jesse Diaz has asked this question twice. Put this up, John. You see this?
Bum. What is it? This right here? Yeah. Just for the listening audience out there that can't see, Jesse Diaz says, what happened with Live between March 2020 and when Chad T was fired? It seemed like if the pandemic didn't happen, Live would have continued and gone to Australia. What do we think of that?
Well, all I can do is describe to you from my perspective, actually just probably 20 feet from where I'm talking in this microphone. I was sitting on the couch, and Patrick Dahlhammer sent me a text and said, hey, you might want to look at Ed's social media. And, so I opened Instagram or whatever it was, and it was like, Chad Taylor's fired. He'll never stop the music again, all this stuff. I hadn't even talked to Ed. I still haven't ever since then. I never have even communicated with him. What I hear is that he was upset. What I hear is that he was upset about my opinion about that horrific Lightning Crashes dance remix. Now, look, to be fair, I didn't ever tell Ed I didn't like it. I just said, I don't understand dance music. I don't know. I'm not your target audience. I'm not buying dance music songs. And of course, just from a legal perspective, so everybody understands this, there are 4 shareholders of the original corporation. If I were to be removed, it'd have to go through a shareholder vote and all this like official stuff. But I didn't really, once I had seen Ed write that, I was like, well, that's not a person for me. Like, this just not, you're not a person that like I even want to know. Yeah. It reminded me of what's that great Mike Myers movie, where he's always putting up his pinky or whatever.
Austin Powers?
Yeah, where he's Dr. Evil or whatever. And he asked for like $1 million total ransom for the world or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like when I saw that Ed fired me.
Right.
So to answer the question directly, I still don't know. I still don't really have a clue. And at this point, I mean, really, who cares? I think Ed showed his true colors to the world then. This is the guy that I'd known since kindergarten. I was just like, oh boy, I'm like, I don't really think I want to know him anymore.
Sure.
And I want to just say this. If Ed had carried forward with Chad Gracie and Patrick, I just eventually stumbled onto, Chad Taylor and Friends and then Chad Taylor's Mercy Revival. I was going to find my own way.
Right.
I didn't really care about that. I trust my own songwriting and my own skills. And you're not wrong in that I think that Live could have easily sailed off into the sunset, just like, like so many quote unquote legacy bands do. We could have kept playing those songs. We could have written new songs. There's a million different things we could do. But this shows you the strangeness of what we were actually dealing with, that all of a sudden is like the logical thing. There are very few famous musicians or artists who have carried forward on their own and then tried to use, what was known as a band. So Sting has massive hit albums outside of the Police. He is also the acknowledged songwriter of the vast majority of Police songs. But yet Sting doesn't tour and call himself the Police. He knows that the value of having Summers and Copeland with him. So it is a very strange thing then to turn around and go, oh, well, the guy I grew up with is doing that with our band. I mean, it's a very strange reality. I don't quite know why we're set to deal with it. it is a shame for the fans. The fans are definitely right to say that, like where people are just like, I'm embarrassed by this whole situation. They're totally right. They're not
Yep.
wrong. It is it's horrific. It's embarrassing. But yet at the same time, it's like, well, I mean, obviously we're some part of the cause. Ed clearly hates Chad Gracie, hates Patrick, and hates me. I mean, that's the reality. I think it comes down to like literally vitriol, hatred, whatever it is. And that's my opinion about how he's acted and behaved towards me. I don't love that. I would like to be forgiven or whatever, but I don't really ever see that happening, to be honest with you, because that means that person would have to do the hard work and heavy lifting themselves, and I don't think that hard work and heavy lifting is being done.
And then, to add on Adam, what Chad was talking about earlier about that time when, when Ed made that announcement. So on the backside of that, Ed came to me basically through Bill Hines and said that he and Chad had this big fight. And I was like, oh, okay. And at the time, as everyone knows, Chad and I were not getting along. We had disagreements over various things, which we've all worked out, and that's all good. But so Ed, I think recognized that breakdown of communication between Chad and I, which was, Ed is all about divide and conquer. So that's exactly what he did. He came to me and told me they had this big blow up. And of course, I wasn't going to call Chad and verify that. So Ed knew that. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I want to go on tour. Let's go on tour, and so that's how that deal was made. And then Ed's reference to having 55% is that at the time, the way the company Behind the Sun Touring was set up, and Ed had 40%, Chad had 30, I had 15, Patrick had 15. But we didn't. Funny thing is, as Chad has pointed out, Chad, Patrick, and I did not own those units individually. They were owned by Think Loud Holdings. So I didn't even have the ability to vote. Right?
Thank God. Actually, thank the Lord.
Neither did Ed. Ed didn't even. Ed never even followed the governance of the of Behind the Sun Touring LLC. So that whole action was not legal in any way. It's funny to look back on, but it lends back to what you were saying earlier, John, about Ed. This whole thing allegedly being Ed's
vendetta
strategy from the beginning is to take over the band and get rid of everybody, and that's exactly what he's kind of done at this point.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys this too, but Chad Taylor kind of answered it earlier, where he said and you brought this up a couple times, Gracie, that the writing was kind of on the wall for the band being done around Throwing Copper time, but it just didn't get as deep into what Taylor was saying about it. But so I was going to ask you guys, did you see this behavior coming from him, where he could potentially just end up hating you guys and trying to fuck you out of business and earnings and stuff like that? Did you see this at all? Because from an outsider looking in, it's this seems absurd. You're 4 childhood friends fucking make music together, and then this happens. But so you would think maybe there was writing on the wall, and that's why I'm asking, did you guys see any of this?
We may have seen signs, but as I said, we were blindly devoted to the band, so we may have seen things. And actually, Chad and I have discussed, we have looked back and gone, oh yeah, that was, go there and there and there. Fuck, we just didn't either recognize it or chose not to see it because we're the band has to go forward.
Right.
Yeah,
at least from my perspective.
Yeah, and fame, celebrity, success, whatever, you can put that literally in a capsule. Mm-hmm. And there were 4 boys from York, and it got, we got launched into space, and there's no they lost that technology. So there is no reference to how to come back to Earth, how to do all those things. So in that regard, I think that all 4 members of the band should have some defense. I think also Ed experienced fame at a level that certainly I didn't. And I think that there is some psychological protections that happen, but that are natural. And I feel to balance things out, I should always acknowledge the good that human beings have brought into the world. It's not all bad.
Right.
When you say were there signs, I was honestly paying attention to the signs of good. Like,
Right.
oh wow, like we're doing
Right.
like look at like for example, the depth of person that I would believe that I am would not be the same if it wasn't for the contributions of Ed. For example, when Ed discovered Krishnamurti and turned me on to Krishnamurti, I mean, Ed discovering Krishnamurti and turning me on to it changed my life. I mean, I'm not the same person without that, right? So I was looking at those signs.
Right.
Anybody that's out there that has a relationship of any depth, especially, I'll just say this, where people are like living together and codependent in some way or shape on each other, you recognize that you cannot walk around looking for the bad signs.
Yeah.
So, in that relationship, I was always looking for the good signs. Like, for example, I'll tell you something that I just always loved about Ed. Like, Ed loves candy. He loves candy. He would always show up on the tour buses with little secret stashes of candy. He just loved, and he loved to share sweets. Like, it's not all bad, people. It's not all bad. We can't ever frame any human being as being all that. One of the things that I learned through the experiences, through this whole thing, was where I might have framed somebody as all good or all bad. And as it turns out, I had to learn about myself. Like, I'm definitely not a judge-worthy person. Like, I shouldn't be judging others, and I don't want them to judge me. So the same should be held true for Ed. Like, I didn't live in his shoes. I don't have his experience. Yes, we were bandmates. We were all those things. Nevertheless, it shouldn't excuse deplorable behavior, right? So there is like some fine line there. And yes, that's me in therapy, working on that and figuring out, like, for example, I had one therapist say to me, it's okay to forgive people, but careful forgiving those that manipulated you. So I'm, and I do really feel like in some way I was manipulated. I bet Ed feels the same way. I bet you Gracie feels that way. I bet you Patrick feels that way. We all feel manipulated. And by the way, we were in a massive system making huge companies hundreds of millions of dollars. We were all manipulated. Let's be clear. We were wrapped up in that. That's everything from, Viacom and MTV down to Universal Music, to Live Nation, all those massive companies that are publicly traded. The reality is, we help their stock look good. Through ticket sales, record sales, merchandise sales, all those things. So in some way we were a commodity, right? And it's only natural, right, to look at the lead singer and say, well, he must be the head tip of that commodity. And therefore I could definitely see situations where perhaps he was the most manipulated amongst us. And that's maybe where I carry a little guilt just as his friend, like, hey, maybe I should have done a better job protecting him, whatever, from those powers, those things. Like, I don't think that Ed
you
woke
can't
up
know
on
who's
his
getting
own.
in.
Yeah,
You
I
can't
don't
know
think
who's
Ed
getting in
woke
his
up
head
on his
like
own
that.
one day and then was like, oh, well, I'm just going to sail off into the sunset without my band. I definitely think there was some manipulation there.
Yeah. Well, just the way he like talks about the way the band forms, it's like he just completely makes up stories and shit. And like you said, that 5-part Lightning Crashes thing, not only does it sound like a band wasn't in the room when the song's being written, so it doesn't even sound like there was a band there. It just sounds like he was playing every instrument and fucking doing everything in that room, which is just crazy. But also it seems like what's crazy from an outsider is that this band is broken up without you 4 guys sitting in a room and having a conversation. Like, it's broken up through Instagram messages and fucking letters, but you 4 have really never sat down and spoken probably since COVID-19 happened.
One of us won't get in a room with the others.
Yeah.
I'll let you guess who that is.
Yeah, Chad, Patrick, and I speak all the time. So, that's, we talk.
And that's been true all through the history of the band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even at the hardest times when you guys were beefing and stuff, there were still lines of communication.
Look, the reality is Chad, Patrick, and I hit the peak of our career when we were called First Aid and we won our middle school talent show. That was it. We should have stopped right then.
That's right.
Did anything from First Aid make it to Public Affection? Any of those? Anything you played? I don't know if
No,
I've
they
ever
were all
heard that
cover
question.
songs at that point.
Ah,
No, I was scratching on my guitar with my pick years before Tom Morello had done that, and that was my main thing because I probably couldn't actually play the guitar parts.
I wanted to ask you that. Where did like your tone, like, because you're like known as like a master of tone for the guitar. Whether like you said, your pick scratching, like stuff you're getting with amps and stuff. Like, how did you develop that? I mean, because it doesn't seem like there's books back in the day to really learn that. There's no internet. Like, is that just a natural ability you had, or how did you kind of get into that?
I'm gonna show you my secret.
The hands.
It's right there. It all just
Ah,
comes out of there. It's the same way Chad Gracie knows how to tone a snare drum, or the tone of Ed's voice, or the impact of Patrick's bass. There are no books, no manuals. That's just how we grew together. My guitar sounds the way it does because it needed to sound that way to be heard next to Chad Gracie's drum set and Patrick Dahlheimer's bass amp, and really the power of Ed's voice. We developed as a unit. And that unit, I mean, I'm sure the world will never hear it again, but when that four piece walks on stage, um, in particular, actually, bizarrely, when Ed plays guitar, nothing sounds like that unit. Nothing, and nothing ever will again. I'm
agreed.
pretty convinced that day will never come. And then, we took that same unit and walked that right over into the Gracious Few, and then that turned into the Turn, and all of
Yeah.
those guitar sounds and tone and all that stuff. I was brought up with Chad and Patrick and Ed in a classical environment where there was structured musical learning, symphonic um, instruments, orchestral
Oh,
instruments, and I think that Ed and I learned how to breathe together playing the trumpet. Chad Gracie was doing the same thing on his saxophone, and Patrick was working on the upright bass. But because we shared the exact same musical instructors, they imprinted on us dynamics. They imprinted
wow.
on us like even weird little things like how to round robin breathe, how to listen generously to each other as musicians. And those people they're very few. Most people know the story of Don Carn, who helped put
Yeah.
the band together in middle school. But then there's some other guys like there was Kevin Strickland and David Crosby, and then Harry Kaler was probably the most important in the high school level. And Mr. Kaler, his love was the Serenaders, which was like a competing jazz band. And if anybody's ever seen the movie Whiplash, where the guy's freaking out on the drummer or whatever, that was kind of Mr. Kaler yelling at us. As teen kids, we were like, what the hell's this guy's problem? But like, I look back and I'm like, no, he got it. Like, he knew the gig and he whipped us into shape. I mean, for everything that Don Carn did in the early days, each one of those instructors had all four of us boys and was, one would hold us accountable. We were, sat in lead positions, first or second chair, and all of our things. And we were counted on to know the music the best and all those things. Well, that was developing our youthful brain in how to think and how to act as an ensemble and how to carry those performances. Then we transferred instruments, me from trumpet into guitar, Ed from trumpet into his voice, Chad Gracie from saxophone into his drums, and of course Patrick moved from the upright bass to playing bells. I'm not joking. And
Really?
but I swear to God, he played the xylophone
That's
with the
so
marching
Patrick
band.
to do a weird instrument.
Yes, he was on the bells, and but honestly, I still think that fundamental classical background where we played, I don't know, Tchaikovsky and all the Gershwin and all those tunes that are essential to building a large musical vocabulary. That's where my tone comes from.
Mm.
It's you don't just pick up the guitar. And so I own a guitar shop, a little plug, it's called Tone Tailors, And for example, one of the things that I deal with at the shop are where guys come in and what they've done is like read Reddit and YouTube videos and all these things. And they can ask me a million questions about the radius of a neck or a pickup or anything. And I do my best to try and answer those questions. And then they pick up the guitar and they can't even tune the damn thing. I'm just like, yo, man, your priorities are all messed up.
Yeah.
You know, we sold, Chad, how many millions of records did we sell with you on your first drum set and me with my first guitar? You know, it ain't the gear, people. It ain't the gear.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your ear, not the gear.
There you go.
Boom. That should be a t-shirt at Tone. What's the name of it? Tone Tailors?
Tone Tailors. Yeah.
Tone Tailors.
Not T-I-L-O-R-S, but T-A-I-L-O-R-S, like to have your tone tailored to fit your musical need.
And you're in there often. I see you putting videos on and stuff in there, so people could go in there and run into you if you're lucky.
This Jesse Diaz guy is asking again, what happened up to 21? He wants to know why we didn't go back on tour, because Chad and I were fighting. Ed didn't want to have fighting on and that's what's happening in 2020. And we didn't. I don't think we wanted to go out into the kerfuffle and bullshit of COVID anyway in 2021.
Did he even go out?
I mean,
in 2021?
look, the reality is Ed made a determination that impacted the entirety of the band. I mean, it just comes down to Ed just not wanting to tour with us. That's why Live didn't tour like from that time on. I mean, once you start, I don't know, it'd be like, do you really think Bono would write on Instagram that the Edge is fired? I mean,
no.
it's so bizarre. It's so weird. And I haven't had a chance to talk to the guy to say, well, that was really weird. Like, why did you do that? I mean, by the way, we've all done weird stuff, but that one is particular out there. And so to Jesse, it's like, once somebody treats you like that, I mean, do you think you want to make music with them and like, hey, let's share artistry? It's like, no way, dude. No way. Don't want anything to do with that. I know, John, last time you said, oh, you guys will be at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I was like, I'll be there with Chris Shin. No problem, but not with Ed.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't blame you at this point. Like when we were speaking last time, I mean, of course it was still at a bad place, but it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And I nobody blames you at all for not wanting to share the stage. You know what I mean? It's crazy at this point.
Yeah.
He should be embarrassed, really, though.
And equally, what do I know? You know what I mean? Like every time you dig yourself in a hole, right? The universe comes along and like punches you right in the face and says, you don't know shit. So I really don't know what the future holds. And I will say this, there's a lot of stuff going on in my life behind the scenes that, gives a lot of perspective to things. My sister-in-law, Trisha, who's my wife's younger sister, who happens to be married to Matt Gracie, Chad's younger cousin, she, for the last week, was in a medically induced coma and just came out of it really on Monday. I guess it's back now 6 to 8 months ago. They learned that she has two very rare autoimmune diseases, and they're attacking her organs in her body, and in particular her kidneys. So she needs a kidney transplant. Like, for example, I know that she was in physical therapy the other day. She was trying to work up the strength to be able to lift a sock, right? So this is how impaired this young woman is, who I've known since the time she was a little kid. And I'd like to use just a minute of this platform to just say there is a GoFundMe campaign. You just type in Trisha Gracie, Tricia, Trisha Gracie, GoFundMe, and you'll find it. And the one thing I want to say is because, I'm dealing with the family side, and I've seen what a massive difference this has made to her daughters, who are both 16. As you imagine, mom can no longer go to work or drive them around or really do anything functional. It's meant also doing some adjustments to their home to try and make her more comfortable in the home until she's stable enough to get a kidney transplant. The family's all in on this, and I do really believe that live fans have made a huge difference here. And a dollar or even 50 cents out of your pocket at this point does make a huge difference. Anybody knows Matt Gracie started as my guitar tech when he was 13 and I was 15. I didn't know how to play the guitar. He didn't know how to tune a guitar, and we kind of had to teach each other as we went along. And then bizarrely, like Live became a huge band and all that stuff, and we were touring nonstop. And I showed up one Thanksgiving, and Matt Gracie was at my in-laws' house, which was awfully weird. And I said, "Hey, I love to see Matt, but I was like, we're home on a break. What are you doing here?" And he had been quietly dating my sister-in-law Trisha, and I could already tell it was really serious. And of course, they were madly in love, and they got married, and then they had 2 beautiful kids. So, it should be a dream story, except for these autoimmune diseases, which are horrible. I've seen directly the good graces of humans that have donated to the GoFundMe campaign and the difference that it's made to the family. And I also want to give a shout
Real
out.
quick, if they scan that QR code up top right, it'll bring you to Trisha Gracie's GoFundMe.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Thank you, John, for doing that. Thank you so much. Please scan that. You can read, I know that there's a blog up there from Matt Gracie, I think just posted something. I'll probably go along at some point and try and post something too. But this is a family that is, well, for example, Matt's on the road teching right now with Ed, teching guitar. So this is an extension of the Live family. And so many people have pulled together. Chad Gracie, what was the charity we did, the Vic Chestnut Sweet Relief? That was it. Oh my gosh, my brain got Sweet Relief. The musical charity actually has already also donated to Trisha, and I haven't had a chance to thank them publicly, and I'd just like to say thank you so much for doing that. If anything, I probably should have talked at the front of the show, because I really want, people to know about the campaign and Trisha's struggle. It's very real. And, this is still a pretty young person. And it's somebody that the extended family of Live, really should know more about, which are, the wives, et cetera, that stay at home, that are guardians of our children and our homes and all those things. And this particular person just needs some love and support.
Yeah, thank you for putting that out there. And of course, we'll clip this up and post it so it gets the word out more.
Thank you,
of course.
Chad.
Trisha,
Absolutely.
our heart is out for you. Get better and get well soon. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. One other thing here. Can we expect, so is Christian out on tour now? And can we expect, if he is, maybe some other pop-ups by you at some of them?
Well, when I was in Charlotte, the first thing I said to Chris was, well, you need to now bring this tour to the Northeast. So I was already suggesting some venues, and, I really hope that happens. And one of the things I just want to say is that, obviously I was a special guest. That's really, Patrick, and Christian and Christopher Thorne. It's really, and their drummer, Jason, that's really their thing. And for anybody that hasn't checked out the original music, I know that Christian has been posting it. But for example, Chris played drums on the recording. Like, he played every single instrument.
Oh, wow.
Which Chad Gracie will tell you, when we knew Chris, other than him occasionally sitting behind the drums, he wasn't trying to play drums.
Yeah.
But he got sick and tired of being dependent on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was just like, well, I'm just going to try this. And, it's very inventive, because he doesn't think like a drummer. He thinks like a songwriter, like a guitar player.
Yeah.
And he explained to me that all the new songs started from the drums, that he puts all the drums down first and then builds from there, which, by the way, just so Live fans know, I've begged Chad Gracie to do that now for, I don't know, more than 30 years. Like, just go in the studio and just send me some beats.
Hell yeah.
So maybe that can inspire him.
Yes. So one thing to tell your drummer from Mercy's Revival is, and forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but Chad Gracie plays behind the beat or in front of the beat, but not on the beat, and that's what makes his shit so special. Because I'm listening to the Ed Kowalczyk cover band he's got out there, and the drums is like the most lacking that you could hear like physically. And I'm like, what the like, what is so like? How can nobody do this? And Chad Gracie doesn't listen to it or anything, but he just mentioned that he plays either in front of the beat or behind the beat, and that's what makes it behind a beat. And once he said that, I'm like, oh wow, that's what makes these, a lot of these songs unique is you're in the beat with it. It's not just so boom right on the money. It's a little bit maybe before whatever. I don't know, but it's key to it, I think. To the drums.
Drums are while I did the Chad Taylor and Friends era, I think I worked with 6 different drummers throughout the thing. And I will just say this, that I was so blessed to have right out of the box Chad Gracie. I had no idea how spoiled I was. I think other musicians and other bands understood how incredible Gracie was, but I didn't have perspective. But as I started working with the drummers through Chad Taylor and Friends, and by the way, they're all incredible people. I mean, Chad, one of the wackiest ones out of the box was I worked with Jeff Stabley, who was like friends with Don Carn and Mac White and all that stuff from York.
Remember that name?
And I needed a drummer for a last minute show, and he was like, well, I'll do it. He teaches at York College.
Nice.
And he's a jazz drummer. Like, he's on some pretty big jazz albums and stuff too. But like, actually, he was maybe the most fun to play with because he didn't listen to anything. He just played. Like, he just vibed on what was going on and then played. Now I was like, well, this is great. Like, it has its whole own thing. But most of the drummers, of course, can't help themselves, and they want to listen to how you wrote the songs and how you approached them, wrote your parts. And that is a tall order. When looking for a drummer for Mercy Revival is the very hardest thing for me to locate. And also, geographically, I wanted this band to basically be close enough to me to be driving so that we could rehearse frequently.
Sure.
So that's part of the Clue thing. And so that is a tall order. Like, if I was in Austin or if I was in Nashville and there's a plethora of players, I could probably find somebody that could get pretty close. But this is like finding a needle in a haystack. And it took years to find somebody that could even get close. And what's interesting is, I won't say his name, but my drummer, it was trying. It's so weird to say that with Chad Gracie. Chad Gracie's my drummer. Okay.
Yeah.
The Mercy Revival's drummer.
There you go.
Sorry, Chad, just put some ownership in there, but you are my drummer. But it's almost like Steve Jordan paying homage to Charlie Watts. Like, Steve Jordan's like, yeah, Charlie invented this style of playing that I embraced. So I had to find a drummer that would kind of do the same thing. And then, for example, while we're rehearsing, he'll be like, oh yeah, did you ever notice Gracie does this? And he'll show me some little figure, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool. That's super inventive. He's like, yeah, like no one else does that. No one else puts that or will put that there or put that fill wherever it might go. And so this is what I was saying. Like, I'm learning. It's like being in live school with these other musicians showing me like cool little things. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I was busy playing my guitar. Like, I wasn't. It'd be like you, Chad, trying to be like, well, like, describe what I play in Selling the Drama. You'd be like, well, I don't know. He plays some chords, and it's like, I don't know.
Oh, that's people are always like, what's the lyric in that song? I'm like, I didn't listen to the lyrics. I listened to melody. I didn't listen to I don't listen to anyone's lyrics. Any band, I listen to melody. And
you're the most. You play around the melody the most of any drummer that I've ever worked with. If you ever listen to one of Gracie's drum parts on whether it's the Gracious Few to live or live with Shin on the Turn, there's never a drum part that's stepping on the vocal. If anything, the parts are very complementary and uphold the primary melody. And that is really, by the way, that's that classical training that I was explaining to you, like learning to play. Like, for example, I've learned this now because I'm working with a lot of musicians. Because Chad Gracie Patrick and I were taught syncopation together. We learned syncopation together. Syncopation's this weird thing where if you played the music exactly the way it looks, it would sound wrong. It's a real technicality. It's related to ragtime music and ragging. And I can remember Harry Kaler like screaming at us, like, if you play it that way, everyone's going to hate you. Like it, you have to drag certain notes, etc. It's all a timing thing. And what's weird is Gracie Dahlheimer and I mean, we play syncopation like it's not, we don't even say to each other, we're playing syncopation. We just do it.
Yeah.
Now that I'm working with other musicians, I literally got asked, well, how are you counting that? And I was like, well, I've never counted almost anything.
Yeah, that's the magic.
I have enough musical skill that I can actually, like, if something's playing back, maybe not playing it at the same time, but I can listen to it and count it out for you. I could also write it out. But teaching that to someone else, I do everything verbally. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, just like, Chad, when we were in elementary school, T, 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 ta, whatever, all those basic rhythms. And then the sound of music, the movement of the hands. I don't know if anybody knows, but that's actually a musical scale. Like, that's the top of the octave. That's the lowest part of the octave. That's the mid octave. But if you watch the movie, if you watch Sound of Music, when they're doing like doe, a deer, a female deer, they're actually playing, their hand movement is the musical scale. And that's how a lot of choirs work that way. That's how they teach the choir how to move intervals. But all those like visual things that we learned, like that goes back to like Kevin Strickland, he was the choir teacher, and Ed and I were in the choir together. I was always trying to sing. I wasn't a great singer back then, but and then with Gracie, there's a whole different thing when you're playing a woodwind. I mean, a woodwind is a really hard and difficult instrument to play with tone and all those things. So believe it or not, that was also forming how he was going to play as a drummer. I mean, it's all in there. You can't, our brain doesn't separate with the musical instrument. It's all there. Like, for example,
why is it hard?
Gracie
is it hard because it's a quick, I'm sorry. Is it hard because it's a quick beat? Like you hit it and the sound stops? The block or whatever?
I'm convinced that Gracie would be the best piano player of the band. Because of his ability to move left and right brain simultaneously.
Yeah.
And so it's all those things. So, he would be natural at that because his body can do that. He always had that. But by the way, I'm telling you right now, from his childhood bedroom, where I can still remember where we were set up in the little ancillary room, Chad, and you had the little stereo in there. And you had a handful of selection of vinyl records, the Beatles, I can remember. I think I remember Motley Crue. Like, there were a handful of albums in there, and then he would put on those records and then play along to the records. And it wasn't like, most of the time when you hear young people playing, you can hear them struggling to play the beat.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he just sounded just like all those albums, like, right away. His natural timing was insane without ever a drum lesson. No drum lessons for this man. Never.
Well, it's crazy.
Just picked up the drumsticks and played like that.
When you're just hanging with him and he just starts banging with his hands and feet and making fucking crazy ass beats, just like with his hands and feet on a table and shit, you're like, that's fucking crazy. That sounds so good. It's kind of cool to watch.
Yeah, you were always so rhythmically gifted, and then we were equally as blessed because I've never met another bass player that even remotely, perhaps only Lee Sklar, where Patrick Dahlheimer is in a league so on his own.
Yep.
That like in the triumvirate of talent in the band, Patrick is in his own.
I've always said he's the most talented musician in the band. Patrick, bar none.
By far.
The bass was like a lead instrument on Mental Jewelry in like a ton of those songs. It seemed like what I'm saying? Normally, like, the bass is like a backing instrument. That seemed like it took the focal point in a bunch of those songs on Mental Jewelry.
What? It's not lead bass when he's doing that slide in Lakini's Juice? He made the song to me. What Gracie and I play is what any natural musician would play to the riff I wrote. It's very close. But when Patrick started going off counter beat,
Yeah.
I mean, I at first was like, is he playing something wrong? I think, in fact, I mean, I could be misremembering, but I think I stopped him in the room and was like, no, I'm going like don't, and everybody would expect normally to play with that.
Yeah.
And Patrick, of course, in his own wise ass way, looked at me. He was like, I know what you're playing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we were like, great, kick it back in. He's like, I'm intentionally waiting. And I'm telling you, if you listen to that, if you could just get rid of the vocals and pull them out and just hear that instrumentally, it is amazing.
Killer.
And of course, there's a great version of that on Chad Gracey's YouTube channel, which does feature Christian on vocals.
Yeah, buddy. That was awesome to see. People were saying that was CGI, like you weren't there and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a whole thing going on about it. We're like, no.
So fucking funny.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So what we missed was like whatever they call it with the camera. I should know this because of the film production I did, but I think it's called a 2-shot, where like you pick up both guys in the same frame.
Yeah.
The camera guys just never did that.
Yeah.
But I was definitely in the room. The funniest part of that experience was I had just put, I think, headphones on and was like putting on my guitar. I was still pretty nervous about the whole situation, just like getting back together, getting in a room. And Gracey was just warming up and cracked his snare drum. And I nearly like jumped out of my clothing. It scared me. It was so powerful and so loud and so crystal clear. And I was like, oh, I missed that one snare drum crack. And I knew, I was like, oh, I'm back. Like, this sounds great. Can't wait. Like, let's record.
Fuck yeah. Are we calling it that you gotta hit it? Are we calling it Chad Taylor's Mercy Revival, or is it just Mercy Revival, the band?
I think that we're going to call it Chad Taylor's Mercy Revival. And if you ever come to see us in concert, you'll see a moniker in the back that just says Mercy Revival.
So we could be like,
I think
Mercy,
just to have it,
Mercy.
I'll
start the chant.
From a pure branding standpoint, it's an interesting thing. I mean, obviously, if you know who Chad Taylor is, right, then you're already interested. And if you don't, and you see Chad Taylor's Mercy Revival, right, you're also going to say, well, who the hell's Chad Taylor? And then you're going to read about my history with Live and the Gracious Few and my work with Christian and all that stuff. And then hopefully that draws you out too. So I want a little bit of both there.
Fuck yeah.
There you go.
And I also want to say this. I struggled with, like, for example, Johnny Marr tours as Johnny Marr.
Right.
And I struggled early on. Well, should I just call it, Chad Taylor? And I was like, the thing that I love the most is the band. I love the band. I want to be about the band. So I'm about the members of the Mercy Revival. Like, I just,
you could have been the Chad Taylor band, like Dave Matthews Band.
Exactly. But, I wanted them to feel some ownership in the whole thing too. That's what we had in Live and still have. I mean, in some weird way, we'll always have that. Whether we're standing on stage as, and calling it Live or whatever, I guess that'll be determined at some point. It all seems so weird. My expectation, long-term, long view, is that everyone finds their space and their way and their time forward. Like that Ed will find his thing, whatever that is, that Chad, Patrick, and I will find our thing. I will tell you, I mean, I'm pretty excited to try and write some songs for Christian. I'll just be pretty upfront about that. We talked about this on the very first podcast. When I get a singer's voice in my head, I can write specifically for that. So the singer in the Mercy Revival, right? Like, I got his spirit in me. Like, I know how to write for that. I know, like, when I wrote Siren's Call or whatever, like, I mean, I was hearing Christian's voice in that. I think,
that was perfect.
Even like, for example, like if we just recorded a song, hey, wouldn't that be cool? Like, that would be fun. Wherever we get a chance to make new music, that's what I want to do. Gracey has access to and plays in the studio all the time. So does Patrick. So does Christian. So do I. There's no rhyme or reason why new songs can't be, released. And that it doesn't have to get so serious as to, like, who even really cares what it's called at this point? I mean, we're all grown adults. Like, I don't want I don't want the music to be impinged or held back in any way, shape, or form. And I want that for Ed too, by the way, not just me. I want that for Kevin Martin. I want that for Sean Hennessy, Michael Railton, Christopher Thorne, Chad Gracie, Patrick Dahlheimer, every single musician I've ever played with.
Life's too short to harbor anything. You know what I'm saying? When especially when shit could be talked out or whatever. It's a good sentiment.
I don't know. Hit me up with like your best song. Like I want to be blown away. It's funny because I like. Thank God for the power of TikTok. I mean, I've reconnected with like youthful music, and that's been a huge thing for me. Is like I've been listening to this girl named Eka Vandal. It's kind of, I think it's her and a drummer that's a producer, and she reminds, like when I first heard it, I was like, it reminded me of when I first heard "Smells Like Teen Spirit." Like, it just like rocked my world. It sounds like, I don't know. I know it doesn't sound like grunge. I just know that it has some newness and passion, and my God, she's amazing. I've been listening to nonstop. I'm such a fanboy of Sierra Farrell. I'll just tell you guys a kind of funny story. So Sierra is originally from West Virginia. She's, they would call her folk music, but she is the whole embodiment of a new musical wave. And if you know, she's just amazing. And so, like I'm always telling people, checking out, Sierra Farrell, Sierra, like Sierra. This is back years, like she's playing tiny little bars, right? She's become a big deal now. She's like playing amphitheaters and stuff.
Oh, dope.
And my daughter, Scarlett, is a publicist. And she just casually dropped to me one day. She was like, Dad, I was just texting with Sierra Farrell. And I was like, what am I, like chopped liver? Like, I was so envious because I adore this woman's music. She's in her 30s, she's not that young, but she's also not old by any means. And it's so refreshing. And then I just learned her guitar players from Lancaster, which is also incredible. My point is, I'm always like, I just don't want to be about my new music. I'm about everybody's new music. That's everything from, Shin stuff to, I mean, man, I would love to collaborate with Sierra. I'd do about anything to make that happen. And I know she's done some some collaborative work with some other artists that I really love, but even including like John C. Reilly, who is an amazing musician, has a great voice. Most people don't even probably know that about him, but he popped up on
the
stage
actor.
with her. Yeah. And of course, I'm totally jealous of like him. I'm like, how's that happening? Why am I not there? Like, I love her music. She's inspired me. In fact, I almost didn't release the 24 songs that I wrote because I listened to her album and I was like, well, I suck. I should just quit. I'm just terrible. And then eventually I was like, well, I need to get over that. Like, I need to face this down. I need to release some songs. And that's the other thing that's unique about these songs is I've written all the words, all the melodies, whereas in the past, everything was truly collaborative. And by the way, I am collaborating with members of the band on writing other stuff, but just these early songs, I did everything. Well, that was all brand new, and I feel super exposed even doing that.
Sure.
And intentionally, just because somebody did ask about it, I put up Honest Man because management said, well, you just don't put up anything new. Like, because they want to hold that back, I think, for a record label or something like that.
Sure.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mr. T. Garman's asking if the term will be released. Yes, we will re-release it at some point here.
Boom shakalaka.
Yeah, the turn has to have its day. I know this sounds weird. If there's any silver lining to it being taken down, is that it can be put back up. Right. And I think that's probably pretty special. I mean, obviously, artistically, we're only doing that if all the parties are aligned, which includes also with Chris Shin. But, even Chris is like, well, it's such an album that I'm really proud of, and we're super proud of it, always were. The politics behind the scenes of being in a band and all that stuff, fans don't particularly always understand how those maturations work.
Right.
that was a part of the negotiation when Ed returned, and it's something that we agreed to. It's not just all on Ed. From our side, we did agree to that. And I don't even really think that at the time that we thought through about the hurt or pain that it could cause the fans, or in particular Chris Shin. And I definitely owe him, and which I did say to him in person, like, I'm just like really particularly sorry about that. He obviously invested himself into making that record, and it does deserve its spotlight.
For sure. Well, I mean, I guess the silver lining, if there is one for the Real Live not being together, is who knows if you would have ever gotten sober, CT, and turned your life around. And even though it sucks that the music isn't gonna grow and be made like it used to, maybe your lives improve, despite the band not being together.
Well, yeah, and it's really funny because can you see there's like two sides of the same coin. Perhaps like I've had to have this conversation with Gracie and Dahlheimer. Haven't had it with Ed because we're not in contact, but it can't be easy to be in a band with an alcoholic. Even though I was a high functioning alcoholic, and I hold a great deal of guilt about that. Perhaps that has something to do with Ed's resentments towards me. I mean, I really don't know.
But you've taken responsibility for that so many times. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys have really done your part numerous times, and it's just one side that's not fucking being like playing ball at all. It's crazy. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
I guess that's the point, is that the lawyers are going to have to sort him out. He's just got to get sorted out.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Do you have any release dates, or can you tell us a time frame on when you're starting to put out the album, or are you going to tease songs? How are we doing it?
I don't have a time frame just yet, but 2026 will be the release date. And look for I'm actively starting to book tour dates. So I mean, you're gonna see me on the road. Our goal is to not just play in the U.S., but obviously to go worldwide.
Fuck yeah.
So, and I'm being straightforward and honest. I have zero expectations about the commerciality of it. I really, I care in some way, shape, or form, but I also just need to be on stage, if that makes sense. Like first things first, I just want to put a line in the sand. If it means starting again in clubs, I'll start again in clubs. I think that's totally fine. And then we'll see where the music and our, musicianship can take us. And, I also think that there is plenty of room for collaborations with Chad and Patrick and perhaps even Chris Shin. I mean, I do not want anyone to think that as grown men, adults, right, that it has to be so pigeonholed into, like these little fiefdoms or whatever. I think it should be, pretty far and wide. I've just had it on my mind. I know this sounds weird, but, I haven't talked to Michael Railton, Raylo, we called him, but I haven't talked to him in years other than a couple messages on Facebook. But the other day when I was on stage with Christopher Thorne and Chris Shin and Patrick, I was like, well, hell, I might as well call up Raylo and see what he's doing. Like, let's do a song with him. Like, let's try and involve, as many of the people that were, important to live. Also, I really want to play some shows with Jerry Harrison. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. Jerry's been touring more and more, and he and I definitely, when we talk, we're like, well, what are we going to do together? How are we going to play? And that has happened a few times where we wound up on stage together, but I'd actually like to formalize it. He did such a great job with the Remain in Light tour with Adrian Blue. I mean, I saw that show. It was amazing. So, perhaps something could be there.
Bam.
So I don't know. As I said earlier, what do I know?
All right. One last question for the live fans. Are there any unreleased live songs, studio recordings from your first 4 albums that haven't seen the light of day? Like Don't Wait and Change. There's like studio versions out there. They're not the best quality and stuff like that, but there's versions out there. Is there anything from those days that isn't out there that has been recorded?
I have all of the Mystery Vault.
So that's a yes.
And I will just say this: I have all the dead bodies. I have everything. Like, I mean, I have recorded, like I said, I wasn't joking when I tell you, like, I have literally us recorded when we were writing Lightning Crashes, when we were writing Damn It, Otter Creek, all those things. This is all recorded. So there's enough in the vault, in the archive, that, we could do releases for years to come. But we have to be in a functional place to do that. And I think that we're actually headed there pretty fast. I think, Chad Patrick and I, first order of business was let the lawyers handle Ed. Then second order of business is figure out how we start doing new releases, even if it's old material.
Well, so somebody posted this in the comments earlier throughout, because they've just been going crazy. But I think there needs to be a good live documentary. Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say. On the way you guys started the band, all the way up through, probably even now, but especially with old footage that you have and like you guys being a part of it would be freaking amazing. And I think would shed a lot of light.
We've been talking about that kind of stuff. Also, we are planning to launch a merch site, and we will be selling the official live red logo again.
Yeah, baby. Red logo
coming back.
Blue,
we're not afraid of we're not afraid of the color red.
well, Chad Taylor, please go ahead.
Well, I think what the point is there, the fans have waited long enough. It's time to start releasing this stuff. I'm not getting any younger. Sure. And I am super excited by everything that you just said, John, the idea of a documentary. We've had some casual conversations with established producers about doing that. As I had mentioned at one point, I had actually started to write a book, and and then all this got so complicated. I was like, well, to the hell with this. Like, I kind of just scrapped it and pushed it aside because I was like, well, I don't know the ending.
Right.
It got so convoluted. I was like, well, it's not really clean. But the reality is, at some point, I don't know. I honestly, at this point, I think I would begin again, which sometimes is like a great part of the writer's process.
Yeah,
but
put it down
one
and
of
go
the
back.
other ways of doing this is telling it like through the eyes of a filmmaker.
Yes.
And so I'm super interested in that. I think live fans, I will say that I've been approached by some serious producers about doing both sort of a traditional documentary, but also then a scripted film.
Oh, that'd be cool. So you could go from archival footage into the scripted part. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and the scripted thing, like we would cast little kid versions of us to play Public Affection or First Aid, whatever that stuff is.
Hey, John, put up this one chat from Christian.
Gotcha.
Roway.
Please let me know if you're interested. Talking documentary, movie producer, and fan of the band right here, Christian Brower.
I'm going to take a copy of her name here and try to look her up. Perhaps I'm over on Instagram at whatever it's Chad Taylor _live. You're welcome to shoot me a DM and I'll try and get back to you. I think there's a Gmail address, the Chad Taylor and Friends at Gmail. That also gets to me. I mean, that's out there publicly. I don't mind if people send me stuff. I will admit I'm not real great at checking the DMs. And there's been some important messages left in those where I'm like, I had to explain to Chad the other day. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm not the best at social media. And then he started laughing at me. He was like, well, I'm not good at it either. Like, that definitely shows like our age. Right. You guys have a podcast. I mean, you clearly know more what you're doing in this area than what I do. And I do like being in here as the Gracious 3, by the way. It's been an awful lot of fun being a second-time guest. I feel like I'm much more better prepared. And, of course, there are and out of respect for time, I mean, there are tons of interests. You know, I happen to be a libertarian, which, you know, kind of gets to sounding almost like a bad word these days. But, you know, I'm fiercely into the history of banking and the Federal Reserve System. And I think there's a lot that, you know, that we could go down that are like those classic rabbit holes. And then, you know, just to bring us full circle where you guys were at originally when this started, but like even when you have guys like Bill Maher going, hey, where do I address my apology note to, you know, QAnon?
Right. So
you know, but and I'm going to just be honest with you, from a guy on the outside, I despise political rhetoric and the divide, because I spent a whole career as a musician trying to bring people together. I mean, first of all, like I always feel like there's like in order of importance, there's like togetherness and spirituality, and like I really feel like the political doldrums are like down here, like they pull you down. And of course, we're all watching that, like we're being intentionally divided. The reality is that, you know, my blood is my blood. It's the same as most of the other blood out there in the world. And, you know, I try and stick to that. But yet, I do feel like we've all been fleeced, that we've all been taken advantage of as a populace, and I'm about done with that. Like I'm sick of it. I also, like most people, have no idea what to do about it, and I think that you guys have done a great job of being open and forthright and earnest. I will say I don't always agree with everything that's said.
Sure.
But I've also had like my eyes open to very specific viewpoints and ideas and concepts that otherwise I would have been closed off to. And I think that healthy debate like that, actually debate and discussion, used to happen. You know, where you get in a room with somebody and they say, well, I'm really a firm believer of this. Tell me why you believe in that.
Yeah.
And then you shut your mouth and
then
take
listen.
it in and listen. And then you say, well, would you like to hear what my opinion is? And then you go back and then you learn from each other, and it, you know, it meshes, it comes together like that. Usually people aren't as far apart as what they think.
Right.
That was even, you know, if I had a message for Ed, I'd say we're not really that far apart. I mean, you know, he's in, you know, his, well, I guess he's on tour right now, but he's in his home. I'm in my home. I mean, the reality is, you know, we don't actually have to fight. But if it's a fight you want, well, then you're going to get fucked up.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if there was a face-to-face conversation, there would be like, it would probably work out, but whatever route he wants to go, it could go. What is it? FAFO?
And by the
around
way,
and find out.
By the way, here's another funny thing on the side of that. I've literally, now, of course, this was like in my 20s. I got in a scrap and a guy in a bar in Canada. I know it was the Calgary Stampede. And it was right after we played. And we both like fell to the ground, trying to punch each other on the ground. I'm not joking. And simultaneously, we both sensed security was headed towards us. And we jumped up and we like bellied up to the bar and like ordered drinks, and security bypassed us. They didn't see us. And I wound up buying the guy a drink. He was like, are you really going to buy me my beer? And I was like, yeah. I was like, are you okay? And he's like, no, I'm fine. Are you okay? I'm not joking. And then minutes later, like we were sitting there, we're like, well, that was about the dumbest thing we ever did. And, you know, our common enemy in the moment happened to be the security guards that were going to throw us out.
Right.
You know, people can come back together, damn it. There is possibility for peace out there. You just have to, you know, it's funny. It's Ed Kowalczyk that taught me that peace is an active thing. It's active. Peace is now. He didn't say after the lawsuit, after the whatever. He said it was now. It's right now. And that opportunity is out there. That's just the reality. And, you know, if you get rid of the lawyers and all the nonsense, and you could get in a room, boy, I bet you could get to the bottom of some agreements. But in the meantime, the fans have to suffer through, well, there's his story and his side, and then there's our story and our side. And, you know, the real truth won't ever come out, because I don't even know the real truth anymore.
Right.
You know, there's just positions and opinions. I mean, there's also material evidence. And I will say that I feel pretty good about that, but I'm sure he feels good about his side too.
Sure. Well, that's the thing. But you guys are trying to be grown men about it, and it could be handled nice and you guys could get in a room and talk, or it could be handled where you guys are not a part of it and the lawyers are hashing it out, and it plays out how that plays out. So I mean, there's options.
I think we should call in Jane's Addiction to consult for us.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if they could, well, and even the brothers, the
I
Black
just want to
Crowes.
Oh,
say this.
Oasis. Oh, Black
At
Crowes.
least, at least if Ed and the other members of Live got into a physical altercation on stage, it wouldn't look that bad in between Navarro and Perry Farrell. Like we would hit each other with iron-based mic stands and shit. There would be blood. Like you would know that we got into a fight.
Right.
I mean, I have good faith that what little bit I know about this band is, had it ever turned into that, it would have devolved into a full all-out scrap. These are manly men, and we would have fought that way. Not, well, I'm just grabbing your jacket and like shaking you. It wouldn't happen like that.
Yeah, because you're also passionate. It would have been a fucking fight to the death.
Well, we're more fans of the Replacements, and the Replacements would just drop their instruments, bloody each other, walk off the stage, clean up, and come back on and finish the show. I mean, come on, that's professional. Let's be professionals.
Let's go with that. So Chad Taylor, let the audience know. I'm sure they know already, but where they can find you for social media, and then again, be on the lookout for that album and see what he's got going on the tour. I know he wants to get out there.
Yeah. Well, the easiest one is my Instagram, which is Chad Taylor _live, and then people do request my Facebook thing, but I'm barely ever on there. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely find me by typing in Chad Taylor and the word live. And
get better for Mercy Revival.
Yeah, and I will announce at some point a website and all that kind of stuff. This is just there is no real great way to roll any of this stuff out anymore. Chad Gracie was in charge of rolling out the Gracious Few all those years ago, and he put up little teasers and all these things. He was so great at it. Maybe I should hand that over to Mercy Revival to just give him the keys and tell him to do that. But it's a lot. Like, not only do we have to get all the music together, all the new songs, all that stuff, rehearse, record. Oh, but we have to have a website. Now you have to have a social media presence. And, I'm like, I just remember in the old days where like the hardest thing that we had to do was get a little flyer and go put it on like some kid's car at a high school parking lot and say, like, come to our under 21 dance,
Yeah. My biggest advice would be, go ahead, Chad, I'm sorry.
I was going to say my biggest advice is start a TikTok page and go live on TikTok all the time. That's what you should do with rehearsals.
And I am on TikTok, by the way. Yeah. I not only am I on TikTok, but I do go live on TikTok, and TikTok is by far my preferred social media platform. I mean, it is where I'm discovering new artists. They don't live. I do discover some stuff on Instagram, but man, TikTok. Oh man, what's this band out of Quebec? They're called. It's like, it means tightness of the chest. It's like
Angine de Potney or something.
Yeah, de Portney. Yeah, they're out of Quebec. They're a duo, and they're like all dressed up like dots, and they start every show with like doing like the triangle
Illuminati.
Oh yeah, like they full on do all this shit, and they're like, you would have no idea what they look like because they have a polka dotted background, and then they're like in inverse colors in front of them. They're only a duo, and they play with a looper. But it's some of the most inventive music I've heard.
I love that looping shit.
Like,
so
they
creative.
Are so good. And the drummer is just like freaking badass. I mean, like, I'm really into that. I'd love to play shows with them. Oh my God.
It's cool to watch them build the loop too. Like, even that part is cool.
Yeah, and these guys are like, they're doing some pretty out there. I mean, it is a little math rocky. Like, they're playing some stuff in like 6/7 and like weird time signatures. What is my TikTok? Someone wants to know. I don't. It's Chad Taylor TikTok something. Hold on, let me look. I was terrible at this. Official Chad Taylor is the TikTok.
There you go.
Official Chad Taylor for TikTok.
Official bona fide Chad Taylor.
It's official bona fide. I think there's only like 3 posts up there, probably alcoholic related. sobriety related. Those seem to be some of my favorite stories. But guys, I
Chad,
deeply appreciate you having me on as a guest. I love it.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thanks for coming on, as always.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun, and we're gonna do this again sometime soon. I mean, we
For
gotta
sure.
keep it up. And listen, I promise you this, that when I'm ready to reveal the band members that are in this thing, perhaps we could also have them on as a guest. I think that'd be
Yes.
super cool.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Do that.
And one thing I want to say for you, Chad Taylor, for the like getting the name out for this band, Mercy Revival stuff, engagement, dude. If people are on your socials and stuff and they're commenting, comment back, and get them going. They'll once you start corresponding with them, it'll get bigger and bigger and snowball, and that's key to getting the word out. Because if they're commenting on your shit, they want to hear from you, and you start doing that, they start responding more, and it builds up. So that would be a suggestion.
So you're saying I should write back, what do I say here?
Yes. or get an AI bot to, come up with your personality and respond
no
for
AI, no AI is too good already. I can't. I won't
crazy.
sound that. I will intentionally, while there's artificial intelligence, I will intentionally keep it dumbed down for everyone.
Boom.
Perfect.
And Christian, if you try to get in touch with Chad Taylor, it takes a while to get in contact with him. You could reach us at the Gracious 2. I'll get the word to them. And one other thing,
producer guy, right? Yes.
And if you guys are taking too long to get in the studio together, I will push you to do the Gracious 2 theme to start it off. So keep that in your brain. If you don't want to do that, have another song.
Actually, it's funny. You guys said that was a AI song. I mean, it was actually very good. I mean,
not bad.
That's kind of scary how right on it was.
If you tweak it, you could get to it. Just prompts, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just got to think about how to prop you guys up. I want it to be more like edgy, like the Howard Stern theme song that Rob Zombie did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like when you needle drop it, I want to be like, oh man, this show's got a lot of energy.
Yep. To match my we are. Anyway. Dude, thank you so much. Yeah, we got to do this. We got to do this more. Every time you come on, we touch on a bunch of shit. The audience loves it, but we're just surface touching. We got so much more to get to. So thank you for coming on. We definitely got to do it.
I text from my mother, and she said we did much better with our cursing.
Oh, good.
Yes, thank you, Mrs.
I got to say happy birthday to my brother. It's my brother Scott Gracie's birthday today. Happy birthday, Scotty.
Scotty, happy birthday.
Scotty G.
Chad Taylor, thank you, my man.
Peace.
Three finger shimmy.
The one.
We're out of here.
The one and only Chad.
Shimmy.
What is shimmy?
Shimmy. 3-finger shimmy. We used to do that. I think Sean Williams, a friend of ours, Sean Williams, came up with that 3-finger shimmy.
That's my three-finger shimmy.
That's two in the pink, one in the stink, my friend.
Shocker, baby. Anyway, great show, man. Yeah, every time we have him on, we just touch on everything. It's always a great show, but we could talk to him for hours if my bladder would hold.
So my mom is thanking me for saying happy birthday to my brother.
Scott's
not even on Facebook or friggin' Instagram anyway. I talked to him earlier, Mom.
Yeah, Mom. Carenza, I can't keep up with you, young lady. You send out some wackiness. You should write a book, I think. But it's been another gracious. No, it's not a Gracious Tuesday. It's a Gracious Wednesday. Whip them out Wednesday, ladies.
We'll be back Tuesday next week, people.
Yes, we will. I think we have 2 shows next week, to be honest. And like I said, Whip them out Wednesdays. If you want to send us your pictures with your boobs out, we're here for you. Thank you, gracious audience. It's been fun. You want to have Bobby come on and say goodbye real quick? Come on, Bobby.
Have a good day, guys. Subscribe, like and subscribe.
Yes.
Great show.
Thank you, dude.
Thank you.
Like, subscribe, share, follow. Please like, subscribe, share, follow.
Put up our sponsors before we roll out. Come on now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. There we go. The QR code.
And sponsors up.
Gotta throw the sponsors up. Eric Javits for your high-end fashion. EricJavits.com. I believe Melania Trump was wearing something from their collection last night at the State of the Union, baby. So she looked hot, by the way. God bless.
Great. She's definitely the best looking first lady.
Oh,
I love when like CNN tries to put up like Michelle Obama compared to Melania's best looking first lady. I'm like, come on.
No.
I mean, Michelle Obama is not. I wouldn't call her ugly by any stance, but she's not as pretty as fucking Melania. Or
she's not a model. Yeah,
no.
I'm pretty sure Melania was a model, and Michelle was a lawyer. I don't know. Yeah, definitely the hottest first lady by far. Maybe Michelle's a close second, but I'm trying to think if there was any.
Jackie,
yeah, right.
Oh, Jackie O would be second.
Oh, that's right. She would be the second. Yeah, you're right. And then Michelle. But those.
And then Eleanor Roosevelt. Just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, Barbara Bush, bro. That was the most hideous one, man.
I don't know. Eleanor Roosevelt's pretty.
Dude, but hold on. So as I'm back in the day thinking Barbara Bush, I'm like, how the fuck is President Bush fucking her, bro? That's disgusting. It comes out he wasn't. He was banging fucking dudes on Epstein's Island and eating them. So that's why that's why he could have that marriage, that puppet marriage. It was a fairy tale marriage. He wasn't into her. He was into banging kids and eating them. Anyway. I hope our sponsors love this talk, but Old Glory for your rock and roll memorabilia and Good Feels for your THC.
I don't think they'd be sponsoring us if they didn't like this shit.
Right. And Good Feels for your THC seltzers and drops, baby. Get those Good Feels. Scan that QR code, baby.
Peace.
Yeah. Well, let me take this down. I'm going to put up Trisha's GoFundMe one more time in the top right, folks.
Please do.
So if you want to scan that QR code, it'll bring you right to her page. But good. Glad she's out of the coma now and starting to come around. But yeah, a lot of stuff still need to be taken care of. So any amount helps there, folks. All right, Mr. Gracie, we're going black.
Peace, everyone. Thank you.